Oh.
Um, do you see my prediction?
Yeah.
Is it? That's a big banner.
Yeah, you can't miss that.
Yeah.
We have technical difficulties. Everybody is getting old. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So this is a new thing.
Hi, everybody.
Hi. This is a cool thing. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna predict no.
Ooh, look at you taking chances.
Wait, where is it? Predict. No. I don't know how to do it. Never mind. It's not working. I'm doing it on light stream.
Right.
You're doing it
In the
please
real,
predict.
in not
So
much.
yeah. So this is one new thing we have. How predictions work is you spend channel points, and you get channel points by like commenting, watching, subscribing. So I'm sure Harrison has a million channel points. But if you so you like bet your channel points on the prediction, and then if you guess right, you get a percentage of the people who guessed right, so you can get like more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So.
By the way, while I'm thinking of it, we did our very first
Oh yeah.
watch party, and it was so fun. Like it was,
Yeah.
I thought it was a really good time. Like there wasn't a lot of like chit chat back and forth, which is fine. We were down to business. Like beforehand or after, it was really good. We got down to business, and it was really fun. And so I really look forward to doing more because I enjoyed it even more than I thought I would. Like I thought I would enjoy it, but I actually had a really good time doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun. And even if you don't like those kind of movies, it's fun to like sit there and snark on it with someone else.
Like I was like, I mean, I don't like those movies are neither here nor there to me, but like I was having fun looking at the decor.
We were very into the houses, the
Houses
doors,
were,
the
like,
kitchens.
exquisite. Like the doors situation in every room was like if that's somebody's real house, I'm very impressed with their taste.
Right.
I always think like my house isn't bad, and then I watch one of those shows and I'm like, oh right, okay. That's how the mighty live.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Those wood
yeah.
playmats. I know. We should find those, Andrea. Recommend those.
Right. Oh, those wood placemats. Yeah, we'll get them. We'll get them. I'll find them.
And the great man sweaters.
Oh man, and those reindeer. Well,
oh God, the reindeer.
Yeah. So that was super fun.
Mm-hmm. I had a really good time.
Yeah. What else do we get going on here? So I think everyone here knows us. We don't have to introduce ourselves.
Yeah. Well, our names are in
Yay.
there. Gina.
In what?
The corner? Aren't they?
No.
Oh, it's on mine.
That's
watching or like there's no name there. It's on my screen is our name. So
that's the green room.
Ignore me just doing things with my fingers that have nothing to do with anything.
I know. I love to point at things, and I'm like, that's not where that is. I do that in my Zoom improv show, Smoke Break Improv.
Mm-hmm.
It's on Twitch now. But I'm like, I'm pointing to someone because that's where their box is on Zoom for me. And then I'm like, that's not where they are. You're pointing at someone else. Don't do that on Zoom.
I do that when I teach. I'll be like, and I'll do it like I'll know where I am and I'll know where I'm referencing, like a store or a library, and I'll point to it as if they have any idea where we are. Like I know where we are, but they're not going to be able to figure it out where I'm pointing to. I don't know why I need to do it. I'm like, oh, the library, the public library, it's that way, and they're like, okay, we're on a campus.
Right. It's just you're always trying to do that object work, that improv object work.
And my mug,
right?
Like you just cuddle your mug.
That's right. You got to cuddle your mug if you're in a Hallmark movie, because you can't use the handle.
I really love to open a refrigerator and like get a drink out, and that's one of my favorite things to do. I had a class or a team with someone who loved the mug, and she also loved to mix.
Yeah. My roommate, who I also met through improv, my former roommate, he once was making something in the kitchen, and he came out with an actual bowl and an actual spoon, actually stirring. And he goes, "Look, I'm doing it in real life." Because we're all like, let's stir. So we're all bakers in improv. I'm not good at object work.
Yeah,
I also forget to do object work. I can
me
just
too.
stand there
Me too.
and gesture.
My one of my teammates on Wussy Riot long ago, that was my first Three Mad Rituals team. He is the funny. Like, he's been doing improv forever, and he's the funniest with object work. Like, it's so bad, but it's funny because it's so ridiculous.
Right.
He knows that it's ridiculous, so it's like kind of part of the gimmick. Like his stirring would be like, like weird, but you would get it,
Yeah. I
I
love when like a thing that you do unintentionally becomes a part of the scene.
yeah,
That's one of
me
my
too.
favorite things.
Um, I also like to just get involved in object work and let two other people have a scene and just keep doing the thing I'm doing and pretend like I'm listening and not say anything. I don't
Yes.
know why I find that very soothing. Like I would do at a party, just to help the
Yeah.
host clean up.
I'm in
And
the corner, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, I do that a lot where I'll walk on, or if it's a group scene, I'll just do something
Mhm.
and like sit there forever and just let everything go on. And then I like to be the person that says one line, but it's like, oh my God, after all this time, the line she said.
Yeah, like to
Yeah.
drop a bomb and then just like get out. That's fun too.
We did a scene where it was the whole cast. It's a bunker. The whole cast is together on the stage the whole time. It's the same room. And everyone established that they were teachers in a teacher's lounge. So everyone is a teacher and they're talking about all this like stuff and they hate students and what they do. And I was pretending to make copies the whole time. And then like 10 minutes in, I turned around and I was like, Mr. Jackson, I can't tell me all these things. I'm just using the copy machine because the other one's broken. Like,
Yeah, it's
uh,
fun to like mix up yeah.
it's parsley, right? Liz Harrison says it's parsley.
Mhm.
So if you're poking around the channel, you might notice some new things. First of all, the prediction. If you have
Mhm.
some channel points, make a prediction. Second of all, if you're on mobile, at the top of the chat box, you now see the Amazon logo.
Huh.
And if you tap on that, you will go to our Amazon store where you can that's like when we talk about books. Some of the books that we've talked about, I put there. If you really like our gear and want to use it in your stream, our gear is there. Some of the other stuff we use, like my cast iron thing that I use to cook chili, that's there. So you can support the channel and read all the books and single white female us and just become us.
You can be just like Andrea, make
Just like
chili. You
me.
could be just
Just
like
like me.
Gina and
Everything I buy on Amazon, I'm putting in the store. like, like,
What what's funny today, so today they had a drive, like Jude's school does this cute little thing where once in a while they'll have like a drive up event where you like the cars all line up and the teachers are out and they're like cheering for the kids.
oh yeah.
So we had his teacher's Christmas gift, so we went and we dropped that off today. And Mike, my ex-husband and my son picked me up so that we could all be there to see, to give the teacher the gift or whatever. So on the way back, we were driving and there was just a bag on the side of the road. And my ex is like, "What do you think is in that bag?" And I was like, "A decapitated head." We started laughing and he was like, "That is where Jude gets his sickness from." He was like,
Yes.
"Jude says the most random and
Oh.
disturbing things and he gets
Hi,
it from you."
Dan.
Hi, Dan. And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, that's where he gets it from." It's me.
Oh, wait. So Harrison brings up an interesting point. Are they still doing the everyone gets a trophy thing in schools,
I don't know
or does
because
he
there's
not play
nothing.
sports?
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't play a sport. In Catholic school, it wasn't really like a huge thing, and he just started tennis right before the pandemic. So
Oh, okay.
no, but it's like I like it because it's like the kind of thing where it makes the kids feel good. They get to meet their teacher in real life because he's
Yeah.
virtual,
Yeah.
and it make like one time they had Ritas. This time they gave him hot chocolate. So it's just
That's
like
cute.
I think it
Yeah.
makes them feel like they're part of something because they're really not.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, they feel like they're not. So it's cute, it's nicer than you think it would be. It sounds terrible, but it's
No,
actually
it
really
sounds nice. Yeah.
nice. But yeah, and then the way
Um,
home we saw decapitate, not really.
together.
But of course, and that is, and then on the way home, we were also listening to the radio, and Santa Baby came on, and Jude was like incensed, and he was like, "I think this is the same woman who is the mom that the little boy sees kissing Santa Claus." And then he was
Oh.
like, "And she's a creepo." He was like, "Santa Claus has Mrs. Claus. I don't want to see a divorce." So it's like, it's just a
Oh my god.
song. So
So here's a question. Here's a question. Settle this. Because I thought I knew the answer to this and I'm doubting myself.
mm,
In the song I Saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus, it's funny because Santa Claus is the dad dressed up as Santa Claus, right?
yeah,
And that's why it's not about an affair,
right.
right? And why it's funny when the kid's like, if dad only saw this, he would laugh and laugh,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's okay. Okay, because someone said something recently and I was like, that like it wasn't the dad or it was really Santa. And I'm like, I don't,
Mm-mm.
I
I
doubted
know.
myself hard.
I think that it's like it's not a double entendre, but it's like that idea where it's like teasing, like, is it really the dad? Is it Santa? Um,
Oh no, am I going to allow this word? Fine. Fine, I'll let
um,
you say cuck. Only Harrison is allowed to
only
say cuck.
everyone else gets blocked.
And then just banned forever.
So, no, what's funny is that we were talking about this in the car, and my ex and I felt the same way that Jude feels. Like we were both as kids disturbed by that song. Because you're like, why is
Yeah.
mom kissing? Like, as a kid, you're just kind of disgusted by it. Like, I was like, ooh, I don't like this song.
Yeah. I
And you're just
still
disgusted by it.
like yeah, like I'm not to yuck anybody's yum and do whatever you like with consenting adults, but I never really got into the wanting to bone Santa um
No.
trope.
Yeah. It seems like
So,
it's for kids. Santa's for kids to me. So I don't
yeah.
see him as anything else than this jolly character. So I
Yes.
guess like, oh, that's what I meant, is like tongue in cheek. That's the thing.
Oh, right, right.
They couldn't think of the word, but like it's supposed to be tongue in cheek, but like it's just weird. And then when
Yeah,
you see the Santa Baby, Jude kept singing the song. He kept singing the line "Coming down my chimney tonight," and he was like, "Ew." It's like it is like when you sing it that way, it is disgusting. Yeah, I agree.
and so I think Eartha Kitt did it the sexiest.
Yeah.
I think that's canon. Taylor Swift did one.
Did she?
And it's like, oh, okay. I hope she was 18 at the time.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I don't.
yeah. I know a lot about Christmas music because I used to work at a radio station that went all Christmas. I have been doing my own personal Whamageddon and I haven't been Whamageddon this year. I'm very
I
excited.
like that song and I want to hear it. So
Well, then you don't need to participate in
right.
Whamageddon.
I actively like to listen to Christmas songs.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
It's different if you were, it's like working at a restaurant,
Right.
right? Like you don't want to eat at the restaurant on your night off.
Yeah.
Right.
I get it. I get it.
Yeah. So another new thing is merch. Merch. Yeah, merch is live. And if you are on a browser and you go to our about page, there's a little panel where you can see some of our stuff.
Mhm.
We have a store. I should probably put a link to the store. Very next day you gave it away. I don't. Yes, merch. It's. Let me see. Can I put a link in the?
I
Let's
don't
find
know.
out.
Let's find out.
Last time I opened another browser window, we had technical difficulties. So,
Cody. Hi. Play
let's
catch
see.
with you. I can't play catch right now.
Harrison, if you are on a browser, you can go to our about page and you'll see a panel. But let me see if I can do a link because we got a bunch of stuff. We got some show specific stuff. We've got some other stuff. There's hoodies, there's mugs, there's phone cases. There's some pillows and blankets where I thought that would be appropriate. And let me see, logging in.
Oh,
Yeah, we're really excited. We're gonna set up a discount for subs.
yeah.
So subscribers will get a discount. I still have to do that. But maybe I'll try to do that tomorrow. I'll get a discount code. So put things in your cart and then I'll get you a discount code. Yeah, cool. I'm not a robot. Come on. Lord. All right. All this to see if I can get a link that I might not be able to. I'm not a robot. Thank you. Okay.
Don't lie, Andrea.
Sorry. Beep, beep, borp, beep, boop, borp. Oh, they're on to me.
You want to sit with me? Okay, come on.
Stores.
Oh, okay.
Come here.
Here, sit down. Sit down.
View store.
Sit with me.
We getting cat butt early?
I don't. He just wants me like attention, and I think he wants to play catch, but it's like not the time to
Oh.
play catch. Hi.
All right, let's see if I can
We'll play catch after, okay?
do this.
Don't you take a nap?
Let's see if I can put that in the chat. I know. Yes. Yes, I want to. Okay. I put a link in the chat to the merch.
I didn't. I did it.
It's fun. Yeah, there's some cool stuff. There's like some jackets. There's stickers. There's little pouches. I like it. So we're gonna get some and wear it so you can
All
see
the
it.
T-shirts for my new life as a slob.
Yeah, none of it's fancy. It's for your new life now.
Yeah, my new life. I was telling Andrea right before we came on that I cleaned one of my closets the other day, and I was like shopping because I forgot that I had like there's so many things with tags on it that I haven't worn yet, and like things I just had bought myself, or like things I had bought but was waiting to wear to like a show or something. And now it's just like I was like, oh my god, look at all this stuff, because I literally don't wear any of it. I don't wear flannels. Like I used to wear flannels all the. I do not wear anything but t-shirts and jeans. That's
same.
it.
I don't wear jeans. What are you wearing jeans for? God.
That's like my comfort pant. Like I don't feel comfortable. Like I'll wear leggings around, but I don't feel comfortable in them. I feel gross. I feel better in jeans. I don't know why. Or pajama pants.
Yeah.
That's my other go-to.
Oh yeah, God. When I was in college, my freshman year of college, I got this amazing pair of pajama pants. I don't know if they were supposed to be pajama pants, but they had this great hang. Like they stayed up, but they also like the fabric was very heavy, and they're so comfy.
I like the
you
cotton ones. I cannot do flannel. Too hot. I don't need to be 100 degrees when I sleep. 1,000 degrees, whatever. I also just found like they're joggers from Old Navy, so they're tight at the bottom, but not tight. They're just cut at the bottom, and they are the most because they're like French terry, so they're not super heavy. I'm like very picky about how warm and I got those in a couple of colors, and I will say like I'm not a sweatpants person ever, but I have rocked those some days, and I'm like these are nice and nicer than like more comfy than jeans. I wear jeans a lot, but around the house, pajama pants and those new joggers are awesome.
That's awesome.
So.
I love joggers because as a person who is well endowed in the thigh area, they just fit me like regular pants.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, are these
they're just cozy. They're nice,
they're great.
And cozy. Summer is hard because like I don't know what to wear around the house in summer because it's too warm for like joggers. But it's not summer. I know it's not.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, looking ahead.
Leggings, man. Leggings.
I bought them. I'm trying to get myself into them. I feel like my middle is like in a sausage casing.
Oh, you're wearing the wrong leggings. I'm gonna find the leggings that I wear 24/7, and I'm gonna put them in our Amazon store because they're great. They're great. I can't yay! I can't lift my leg high enough. There they are.
I like dresses. That's comfortable, but like just on their own, I feel like I don't know.
Dan, what are you wearing? Are you wearing leggings or jeans or what? I mean, you still have to go outside.
Yeah.
So.
Do you remember that sketch, Fat Man in a Little Coat? That's how I feel in leggings.
Really?
Yeah.
Jeans. Good for you. Sometimes I'll put on jeans. Sometimes I'm like, I'm about to go to the grocery store and I'm like, I feel like doing something special today. I feel like getting all dolled up. I'll put on my jeans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does make you feel classy with jeans.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm really dressed like a person who has a place to go.
I'll put
Imagine
on
that.
like something that I like, and then I will put on top of it a huge cardigan and then a blanket scarf, so I look homeless.
Ooh,
And
love
then
a
I in the winter I just go for slippers as shoes, so I'm like I really have homeless chic down.
blanket.
If you want to know what it looks
Oh,
like, yeah.
Harrison hates jeans. Dan
Ooh.
just got home from work. Oh, thank you for tuning in between your work and your pajama pants.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Um,
Harrison hates jeans. A lot of people do. I used to, my son, when he was a baby, all I ever put him in was like little jeans, like when he was a little boy. And now he just wants to wear sweatpants, and I hate it. I hate it so
yeah,
much. But I found pants from Target for him that are just like, they're not sweatpants, but they're just like joggers that are regular material.
yeah,
And he likes those. So I guess it's just the hardness of the jeans.
yeah. And jeans are hard. Jeans are like jean shopping is it's a trauma. If
Mm.
you've ever been jean shopping, you have PTSD.
Well, I know what size
It's
I am in the Gap, and I just order 500 pairs of Gap
right.
jeans, and then I wear them until they fall apart.
Right, exactly, exactly. Because once you find that one good jean, it's like, oh, what have I been doing all my life? My hack is Stitch Fix, actually,
Oh yeah, that's right.
because they don't want you to send the clothes back, so their jeans are always stretchy
Hmm.
and they fit so well, and they're so soft. A lot, they're really soft and comfy. Basically, so I wear skinny jeans.
Hmm.
So
Yes,
that's
jeggings,
yeah,
Gap jeggings are like my go-to.
yeah.
I love them; they're so comfy.
So yeah, sometimes I get in a weird mood and I'm like, I'm gonna wear some boyfriend jeans, and then my thighs are like, no, you're not. You are not gonna at all in any way.
Yeah, I haven't. I've gone to jeggings and I haven't gone back. I bought one pair offline of like they had kind of a little flared at the bottom, like kind of 90s style. And I tried them on and I was like, hell no, absolutely not.
Oh,
And then I went to the mall to return them, and the Gap is closed in the mall now because like our mall is dying. And so I just kept
oh,
them because I'm like, maybe someday I'll lose 500 pounds. And
oh!
so there'll be my goal jeans.
I know, Dan. She does. I know. Ugh.
I'm just not. You know
um,
what? I used to be real small, and I'm not. And it's very. I know, like to other people, it's not that big. It's like very upsetting to me.
I get you. I
It's
get
like
you.
the thing that I've been grappling with all year, and it's just not getting better. And I'm like
Yeah.
trying to
Well,
like not accept it.
that's our internalized fat phobia.
Hmm.
Remember
Well,
when the
yeah,
mall was the
you
place to
know,
be?
Harrison, I loved the mall. I mean, even when Jude was a baby, I used to wheel him around in a stroller and buy him a pretzel. And now it's like, yeah, where do you go? Where
You
can
go to the park and make TikToks. If my observation of the
is
teens
that it?
is any indication.
See, I wouldn't want my
Um,
kid in a just in a park. I guess the malls know better.
oh, thank you for loving us no matter what.
Oh, thanks.
Because let me tell you, you're allowed to eat whatever you want in a pandemic.
Right.
It's the law.
It is true.
And I want to also ask, I want to challenge Harrison from a while back that you would wear sweatpants everywhere if it were acceptable. Is it not acceptable? Like today? Like nowadays? Is it?
Is there anything that's
Is it?
out of the question? Like that is a good point. Because a
It's
lot,
not like we're getting married or something. Like it's not the prom.
right. For a
Where are
special
we going?
occasion, I could see it, but like the other like a couple years ago, I told my friend Olivia, I was like, well, I'm just wearing
Harrison is George Costanza. I feel that energy
Save
sometimes.
yourself in velvet, yeah. Um,
Oh,
but I said to my friend Olivia, I was like, I'm wearing slippers all the time out in public. I'm like, have I just given up? She's like, or are you living your best life? And I was like,
right.
oh, damn. You're
Yeah.
right. I am.
I saw a girl today walking into the CVS. Right,
I love
Harrison, when
George
you
Costanza,
recognize
so it's fine. And tomorrow's Festivus, so it's
oh,
perfect
right.
timing.
Right. Yeah, I saw a girl walking into CVS today in slippers, and I was like, why don't I have slippers? Why am I putting these shoes on my
Mm-mm.
feet?
I'm telling you what, I buy a pair, I wait till Land's End has them on sale, and they have the hard sole, but they're
Yep.
soft inside.
Yep.
And I buy them, and if at the end of the season, because they were only $20 on sale, at the end of the season they're disgusting, I throw them out. I don't care.
That's a great idea.
And they are, you will not wear any other shoes.
Okay.
You'll just be like,
I'm gonna look
I'm
for them.
done. Yeah, it's the best thing I've ever done for myself. I
That's
wear them
great.
all the time.
That's great. Do it. Happy Festivus, Dan.
Happy Festivus, everybody. Happy
Feats of
Festivus.
Strength will be after the story.
Yeah. All the
And
way,
then we're
and
gonna
you're
hear
posting all the ways you've disappointed us through the year.
a lot of problems with you people. Airing of grievances in the chat.
Before I go on, before we get serious, I do want to say that one of my coworkers has an awesome, what do you call it, tradition with her family, that they sit around and they tell story. They each, it's a competition. Who has embarrassed the family the most this year? But it's like something that you've done that's just like
I love
ridiculous,
it.
like
I
something
love it.
silly that you've done. And so everybody goes around, whoever has the best story
Oh,
wins.
Count Chocula,
And
everybody.
I just think
Woo!
that's such a beautiful, I hope
Yeah,
someday
I
to
love that. I
have.
love that. I love families who roast each other. I'll say jealous. I mean, it's not like a mean, angry jealousy, but a wistfulness. Yeah, I wish I had a family like that.
Like everyone in on the joke kind of thing, not like
Right.
they're roasting you and you're like going into the bathroom to cry.
Right, right.
But
Your
like
boss
you're
got you a Festivus poll. That's awesome. I'll look on your Instagram. I think I have your link
oh,
somewhere.
that's amazing.
I am counting my ring light tripod stand as my Festivus poll, so I'm good.
Oh, then I
I'm
have
good to
one
go.
too.
Yeah, we're so
So
fancy.
should we do the thing?
Let's do the thing. Let's do the thing we're here to do. This is an improv and Seinfeld channel.
Oh,
Um,
everyone's just like, I'm really glad it's not cat butt.
well, the night's still young and the cat's right here.
I could
Yeah.
talk Seinfeld forever. Like that was one of my all-time favorites. I like almost have every episode memorized. It's really sad.
It's such a shame because I don't know how I feel about Seinfeld. I know I'm allowed to like it, but like my bad ex was super into Seinfeld, like
Mm.
super like being into Seinfeld was his personality.
Oh,
Um,
right.
so I'm like that. So it's that and Billy Joel that are ruined for me.
Mm.
And I'm like, ugh, screw these things for no reason.
You know what though? He doesn't get to corner the market on those things. He doesn't get to own them.
True.
You know,
True.
like you get to
True.
reclaim them as your own if you want to.
Yeah.
You can take Billy Joel or you can leave him.
Billy Joel.
Yeah, I don't.
I'm fine.
He's fine. I don't have anything against him. It's just I'm not rushing out. But I
Right.
do love Seinfeld. I do love Seinfeld.
And it's a Harold. Did Steve K ever tell you that?
No, but I did see the sign. I did figure that out when I saw the Seinfeld. Did you see the live Seinfeld improv when they came down from New York?
No.
It was it was incredible. And I mean, when I say like the Elaine looked just like the Elaine, it was crazy. But you see it. You see how they do it, and then you're like, oh right.
I don't trust Billy Joel. I don't think Billy Joel trusts Billy Joel.
Bug
Um,
on it. Aw.
yeah. Yeah, so if you're into improv, you know what a Harold is. And
Mhm.
someone told me the structure of
Mhm.
Seinfeld is structured after the classic improv format of a Harold.
I also noticed that the four major Disney characters are kind of like Seinfeld, except Minnie's nicer than Elaine.
So you lived in LA, Harrison? That's exciting.
That's
Pop
exciting.
upset with that's exciting. So there's a reason. There's a corollary between the Looney Tunes characters we were saying and Seinfeld.
Mickey.
Oh, the Disney, right?
Yeah, sorry, I'm like the Mickey characters.
Right. I feel there's an undercurrent of assholery in both Seinfeld and Billy Joel. Yeah, Seinfeld dated an underage girl, Jerry Seinfeld. So, so the corollary why they seem so similar. I saw a post about this, and it's like in narrative structure, it dates all the way back to Commedia dell'arte, which was a form that developed during the late Middle Ages and Renaissance, where it was plays, but it was based on tropes, and there would be the father and mother and the builder and the clown.
Right.
And you can do it, and sometimes there's more than one of each.
Like
But
Family
you
Guy,
can,
right? Yeah.
yeah, you can put it on any cast. So father and mother are Jerry and Elaine, and then builder is George, and clown is Kramer.
Mm-hmm.
And you can do it on Friends, like Phoebe would be the clown, Rachel and Ross are the mother. Chandler and Joey's also a clown. Chandler and Monica are builders. Like you can do it on any on any group in pop culture, there's
That's
those
amazing.
archetypes. Yeah, it's neat.
I like that. I always thought I was an Elaine, and then when I got older, I realized I was a Kramer.
Oh no. That's like when I used to watch Sex and the City, I thought I would grow up to be a Samantha, that I was a Carrie and I would grow up to be a Samantha, but it turns out I've been Miranda all along.
A lot of people, I think Miranda is an equalizer because a lot of people are Miranda. She's like every, and I don't mean that in like I
Right.
mean that in like she's like a solid. I think she fits so many character categories of real,
I know.
like realistic.
She's like the Hufflepuff that a lot of people don't want to admit they are.
Right, but there's nothing wrong with a Hufflepuff. If you
Right.
tell Jude that there's nothing wrong, he gets furious. He does not want to be a Hufflepuff.
Hufflepuffs are great.
He
First of
wants
all,
to
I
be
just
a
want to
Slytherin
say,
so bad. Yeah.
yeah, I want to be Gryffindor. Also, as an aside, fuck J.K. Rowling forever for transphobia. And
And
Turfree is not welcome here.
that's it's so.
However,
Do you know what's so interesting? It's like Jude came to like really love Harry Potter, and I'm like, I can't explain to him the controversy, so I just allow him to like the
yeah,
joy of the made up world.
yeah,
And then when he's older, we can talk about all the other stuff, and
yeah.
he can decide how he feels about it. But it's one of those things: is like, can you still like the art? And
Right, right. I know, and that's the thing you have to decide for yourself.
especially because
Um,
little kids are coming in to love that, like to want to read it and be excited by a fictional world. Like I get all of that.
yeah,
That all makes sense. But and then like to not like and the author to them means nothing. They don't give a shit
right,
about the author.
right.
So it's complicated because
It's yeah.
you don't want to give money to it, but at the same
I
time,
think you can still like the art.
yeah,
Yeah, my thing is I always like I don't want I used to have Hufflepuff in my social media bios and I took it out
yeah,
because I don't want people to have to give me the benefit of the doubt that I know better than J.K. Rowling.
right,
I don't want anyone to wonder that about
right,
me.
yeah,
Um, that said, if you need me to defend Hufflepuff to Jude, you let him know, and then we can move on. You let him know Hufflepuff is the only house that never produced a Dark Wizard.
right. I
Never.
told him I because I think secretly he's a Hufflepuff, but like I said, for some reason he wants to be Slytherin. He always wants to be the bad guy, and I'm like, dude, you are not the bad guy. I don't understand.
That's a very Ravenclaw thing to say.
When he was, I am a Ravenclaw. He
I know.
when he was little, he like wanted Darth Vader to have part custody of him, and I'm like, first
Oh.
of all, oh, no. Second of all, why would you want to live with Darth Vader? Like Darth Vader cut off Luke's hand. Come on.
Yeah. Roald Dahl was also an anti-Semite. I know.
Right,
And Walt
right,
Disney.
right.
Walt Disney's a mess. Yeah.
Any person, and I'm like, there are people who are clearly bad, but I'm sure that anybody, like, especially from those eras that we look into, the problems are just, you know,
Yeah.
best not to look, especially if you really like someone. Best not to look.
Yeah.
Like JD Salinger, love JD Salinger. Do not look behind the curtain. Close that curtain.
If you like us, do not look. Do not look.
Harry Potter was too young for me, but it's right up Jude's alley.
I was right in that little micro generation. I'm like the top of it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very big deal. It's a bummer.
All right, so I will really talk about this show now. So,
Okay.
so I had a hard time choosing because I did Richard Speck last time, and it was so much murder of women. And I
Yeah.
was like, ooh, I need a break from this type of, because I did Carrie Stainer right before, not too long before that.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I need a little bit of a break from this type of guy. And so I like chose something and then changed my mind and then chose something and listened to like 3/4 of a 300-page book. And I was like, I want to do this one, but not now. And then I fell into this one I listened to a case file episode, and it was one of those, I don't know if you've done this with podcasts, but it was, as I was listening, I was like, like I was shocked. I was like, ooh, this is so twisty.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is the one. And I feel bad because Case File did it like in October, and I try not to do anything close together. But you know what? I think it's fine. Case File is the best. You can't compete with them, so whatever.
I was just about to say, don't listen to Case File is nuts.
Uh,
Nuts instead. We're pretty.
and I haven't listened to them in a while. and then because like sometimes I save them, or like sometimes I'm just not interested in, like, if I've heard that story before, I'm like, well, I don't like that one.
Yeah.
Um, but I went and listened, and it was so funny because I just randomly went down the list, and I was like, this name, and then I was like, oh, this is the best story.
That's amazing.
So I mean, it is. So I did listen to Case File. I did watch the documentary called "The World's Most Wanted Woman." I read a Guardian article, and I cannot remember the title of it. But I read a Guardian article. It's listed in I read it under there's a wiki of murderers. It's not murder.
Yep.
I did look at Murderpedia, but it was a wiki of murderers, and the link was there. So
Okay.
it was a Guardian article there, and I can post it on. Our site just so I can give them credit. But it's a wild story, and I hope I do it justice.
I'm so excited.
The only there is a little bit of gruesomeness along the way. I will try to be ginger with it. It's tough, but it goes by fast.
Yeah.
And there is some mention of suicide, so I just wanted to put that out there. I don't want to give anything away. I just want to say
No,
that
that's good.
but it's like
That's a good content warning.
So, okay, so here we go. In late spring of 1991, a woman named Charlotte Ray Cohen received a summons in the mail to appear in a North Miami courtroom. In May of that year, she'd been picked up by the police after she was found sleeping in a rental car that was from California and 6 months overdue to be returned. And the car had a stolen license plate on it. So, also in the car, along with Charlotte, they found 3 IDs bearing her picture. Only one of them had the name Charlotte Cowan, though the other 2 had other identities. The police never actually checked into the names because they had arrested her for the car. They held her overnight. They questioned her. They held her overnight. And then they released her on bail the next day, and she was going to come back to face a judge later on. It says later. I'm assuming it was not that long later. So on the day of her court hearing, one of the arresting officers was in attendance. And when they called Charlotte's name and she stepped in front of the judge, the officer took one look at her and was totally shocked. The woman before him was not the one that he had arrested. He
Ooh.
told the judge that this was not the woman, and they questioned her.
I
This
can't believe she showed all the way up to court if it was not her.
Well, this
Okay.
Charlotte Cowan, standing before them, she received the summons, and she had no idea what it was about, so she showed up to resolve the matter in person because she was like worried about she
Yeah.
thought this was the best way to resolve it. Um, then she says to the officer if the woman that he arrested originally was a tall redhead, and the police officer said that she was. And Charlotte replied, I know exactly who that is.
Wow.
So we're going to go a little bit less than a year earlier, the July before. Okay. So hold on to that. Just file that away. So a little less than a year earlier in July, Steve McGowan and his sister Jane went to their sister Beverly's condo in Pompano Beach, Florida. She hadn't been, well, I'll explain. They went to her and no one was answering the door and they were worried. So they broke into her apartment. Her car was not outside. There were dirty dishes in the sink. Her nightgown was on her bed. There were clothes on the floor and in the closet. In other words, her house was like lived in.
Okay.
It was not ransacked, just like it looked
Okay.
like she had been like she might have like thrown her nightgown on the bed and then like was messy with her clothes or something.
Gotcha.
Her phone had been disconnected. Her answering machine was gone. For those of you listening that don't
know what an answering machine is.
there used to be a big brick that was your answering machine.
Oh my
And
God.
you had to like rewind it. There was a tape in there.
Yes.
It went digital later. I don't remember how much later, but there was a tape in there, and you could physically bring it. It was a physical thing. So her answering machine was gone, and she had 2 cats who she loved very much. They were also gone.
Oh no.
Her along with that, and I don't know how. So her brother and sister Jane and Steve look around, and they notice, and I don't know how they know these things are missing, but I don't know, who knows, but they said her address book, her passport, and her birth certificate were missing. I don't know
Hmm.
if my brother would know that I even had those things or where I had them. Like, he would have no clue to say that they were missing. Like, if
Yeah.
you asked him, is her birth certificate there? He'd be like, I didn't see it, but he would have no idea if I
Right.
ever had it. Yeah.
Unless you're like my mother or my parents who are actual adults and kept everything in a strong box,
Mm-hmm.
then I feel like if someone was going through the house going, did they get robbed? They would check there.
And it might be that situation. Like, who knows what how the family operates? Like, I know my mom had one of those strong boxes.
Yeah.
Cut to me now, like, um,
I know. I have a pile. I just have a pile of important papers, and if I ever need them, God help me.
yeah. So, but anyway, those things were not in the house; they were missing. Now, the day before this day that they went to her home, the last time the last time Steve spoke to his sister was July 15th. She lived in Pompano Beach. He lived in Central Florida, which I'm assuming like Orlando area. And their other sister lived, good God, not far from where she lived. She lived out, I don't know where she lived, but like 11 miles away from where Beverly lived. So he spoke to her on that day. He invited her over, but she declined, which was like, I think it was a little bit unusual. She was really close with him. She was really close with his kids, but she said she had something else to do. Then on July 19th, so this is 4 days later, he receives a letter in the mail. And let me read the letter. So he receives a letter that says, I just want to say goodbye to you and the kids and let you know what I am doing is the right thing. This is what I need at this point in my life, so don't worry. When I come back, I will be a much better and happier person.
Hmm.
So, and I don't know if there was more, but that's what case file included in the letter. So I don't know if that's the entirety of the letter, but basically, I'm leaving town. I need to do this. I'll be back. It's the
Okay.
gist of the letter. Her sister Jane also received a letter. It was had a little bit different information. She said that she has decided to make changes to her life to go traveling, and that she was quitting her job and selling her condo to do that. This
Wow.
very much concerned her brother and sister, which is why they went to her home,
Mm.
because she was, for the first time, they said, very happy with her life. She had her career. She was a loan processor, I think, at a bank. She had just bought her condo, and she was working really hard to, like, she had two jobs to pay off the condo. She was also
Wow.
working at the Goodwill, and she was also she also had roommates to help her pay off the cost of it. So they said, like, it was weird that she was just going to up and sell it when she had been like so invested in paying for it and taking care of it, and that she really loved it and was really happy.
Yeah.
The letters were in her handwriting, and according to the police, they said that it didn't look coerced. I don't know how they know that, but I guess if there's like, I guess they can tell by the flow of the writing if you're writing under duress, I guess.
I guess.
I don't know. Does anyone know that? I
I
guess you
guess.
know a lot of like starts and stops if somebody was like dictating to you, right?
Yeah. Or there might be a shake, like if it's less confident.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
So then that they called her right away, but her phone was disconnected, so they couldn't get in touch with her. Jane went to the police right away, but they said, she's an adult, we can't do anything. So that is why they go to her home. Very quickly, Beverly's the youngest of of the three siblings. They were from Philly. Woohoo! That was just a happy surprise. When I heard that, I was like, "Woo!" And I don't know why.
Like 2/3 of people in Florida are from Philly, and the other third is from New York.
They went to Florida, like, I guess as adults. And like I said, Beverly lived in Pompano Beach, Jane lived in Boca, and Steve lived in Central Florida. So they called her work, and her work said that she had called in sick on the 18th, which is the day before they received her letters. Now, another weird thing is that case file calls this unusual because she was dependable, but I'm like, dependable people get sick.
Right.
Like, why is it weird? I guess she never called out, is what they were trying to
Oh.
say. And this is another, like, as you guys know, with true crime, there's like one article said that this was in a letter, the other article said that this was in a call. So, who knows? But they said that during her call in, she asked to speak to someone in the mortgage department and asked to foreclose on her apartment. And they said that she would have to send in a telegram, which she did, and she told them to dispose of her personal items as well.
Wow.
So this is unusual as
Yeah.
well for somebody who's working so hard to pay off their condo.
Yeah. And doesn't like sell it if
Right.
they want to get rid of it because that's how you make money.
Right. So Steve, besides calling her work, her brother makes the choice to cancel her credit cards because he
Mm.
thinks that he doesn't understand why she's not getting in touch, and he's really worried, and he thinks that if she doesn't have her credit cards, that it will hinder her plans, and then she'll be mad to
Mm.
call him, and then they could find out where she is.
I know.
So that's what he does. I didn't even know your sibling could cancel. Like, I learned a lot. I'm like, your
Yeah.
sibling can just but I guess if you're missing, because he also then does officially report her missing
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
the local authorities. So, a couple days later, this would be so that was the 19th. I think that was the day later, a day or two later. I forgot to break the date down. It's the 20th or the 21st. A fisherman is out catching
Fish.
fish
As they do.
in Port St. Lucie, which is, I believe, like the other, like, I think it's
I feel like it's on the other side.
the other side.
Can look it up.
I think I accidentally erased where it was, like how far it was. I want to say that it's like 100 miles. I don't know if that's incorrect.
Port St. Lucie is on
It's on the
the Atlantic side.
right.
Right.
Boca is on the west, or
It's
Pompano.
near,
Yeah,
yeah, it's near West Palm Beach.
right. Okay, so it's far. It's
Yeah.
definitely far. So a fisherman. It's the end of the day. He's out with his niece. They were fishing. He's walking on the embankment of the canal, and this is a canal that's like, it's pretty secluded. Like, there's this canal, and like around it is, I guess, the Everglades are right there.
Mm.
So it's kind of like a secluded area. So he's walking, and he thinks he sees a bag of rags,
Oof.
and
It's never a bag
it's
of rags.
never a bag of rags. It's never a mannequin.
Never.
He walks up. I don't know why he would. There's a lot of weird choices in this. Like, he goes to inspect the bag of rags, which I would never do
Right.
before I knew about true crime. Now that I know about true crime, every bag
Right.
is a
Because
murder.
why do you care about a bag of rags?
Right. I don't know if maybe he's like homely and was like, we could repurpose those rags. I don't know.
Maybe he needed some dust cloths.
You never know. I would just be like, that's somebody's, like, I would assume that was somebody's like sleeping stuff and not touch it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm not a fisherman in Florida, so hey.
Yeah. Florida men, they're a different breed.
Also, like, maybe he's also into true crime and was like, that's a body.
He watched Dateline.
So,
This is back when it was on 4 times a week.
right. So he goes up to the bags, and what he sees inside makes him run for help and call the police. And when the late St. Lucie sheriff comes to the scene, they find the mutilated remains of a female adult. She's dressed in jeans. She has one white sandal and a pink floral shirt lifted up over her chest. There's a gaping wound on her abdomen, and it's unclear if this was post or anti-mortem. They don't really know, like, what it is. Her hands have been removed, and she was crudely decapitated. This is the part that's a little bit, they
Oof.
used a chain, whoever it was used a chainsaw, and so like part of her jaw was still intact.
Ugh.
Like, the head was missing, and I'm so
Ew,
sorry.
ew, ew.
Just
Ew, ew.
forget I said that.
Yeah. Ugh.
Body parts,
Can't be
her
up there.
both body parts were not
Can't
found,
be up there. You can't be up
and
there.
she was killed. It was clear to them that she was killed elsewhere and dumped.
Mm.
One thing they did notice, however, is that on her, like her jean, like they could see at the bottom of her jeans near her ankle that there was a tattoo hidden there, and it's a tattoo of a yellow rose. So they put out a thing to the media saying like about, that the, this
Yellow
person
rose
needs
tattoo.
to be
Yeah.
identified, right? And Steve gets a call from a friend of Beverly's um, around 10 p.m. that night, because she saw it on the news, and she says, um, that's Beverly's tattoo.
Oh,
And so
yeah.
sadly, that's how Steve learns of his sister's death. The next day, he and his sister Jane go speak with investigators. They bring the picture of the rose to identify, but they did not want to view the body because they thought that
Yeah,
was
no,
too
that's no.
distressing. And that's,
Yeah.
I totally understand. Like, no.
Yeah, after what happened to her, no, thank you.
They interview the brother on This Most Dangerous Woman, and I mean, The World's Most Wanted Woman. And he, first of all, he's so Philly to me. Like, even though he lived in Florida, like now, probably by the time he filmed it, probably like 20 years,
Yeah.
he still has that Philly. It almost sounds a little Delco, but
Yeah.
he has a Philly accent, and he's so sweet, and it's so painful. Like to
Oh,
have,
yeah.
like you could still see like he's still so shaken by it. I mean, I don't know when they filmed it, but I can't
Yeah.
imagine never be like not being shaken by that.
Right. Yeah.
Um, so they also tell the investigator that she had another tattoo on her waistline of Thumper from Bambi. And
Interesting.
they realized that that was the wound. That, in other words, the person cut out that tattoo. They took away everything they thought would identify her, but just missed the one on her
They
ankle.
didn't know about that. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And also, because the portion of her lower jaw remained a dental, they were able to get a tooth with a filling, and they could compare it to her dental records. So it was absolutely, they were absolutely positive that it was Beverly McGowan. Um, Unfortunately, the severe mutilation hampered their ability to name a cause of death.
Mm.
They said again, like her throat was cut with a knife, her torso was cut with a knife. Like I said, there's a chainsaw that was used, and there was no evidence of sexual assault. So they were just like, we don't really know how. Oh yeah, because her throat was slit. So they're not sure if that was again post or ante mortem.
Right.
Like, they don't know what happened first.
Right.
Um, there were no blood fibers or hairs or signs of struggle in her condo. Um, and everyone was wondering like who would harm her. She was independent, she was quiet, she kept to herself, she loved and doted on her nephews. She didn't have any problematic relationships that they know about. Like she had two, she they said like when she was younger she had a couple of boyfriends who both each separately died in car accidents. And then after that they said like she never really got like a serious boyfriend, because anytime they would get close she would just like end the
Oh, no.
and for a time a time she now this is how they say it in the thing. For a time she explored her bisexuality. I'm sure it was not for a time.
Right. Guess what? She was
um,
bi.
but
Sometimes you date women.
this is her sweet brother, you know
Yeah.
doing his best. One thing that I thought was appalling is in the movie, it's a UK documentary called The Most World's Most Wanted Woman, and I don't know why, but like when they're talking about why somebody would do this. I don't know if it's the sheriff from the case or just another person who's working on the case, but he's like, "Well, she wasn't rich, she didn't have whatever," and he's like, "She wasn't a beauty queen, she wasn't that
Oh,
good looking," and I'm like, "Do you need to say that?" Like, I was like, "That is."
right.
If that was my family member, I would be astounded. I'd be like,
No.
you don't have to be attracted to my dead family member. number one.
Right.
If it was
Like,
me, my ghost would come to haunt him immediately.
I know.
He's like,
I
yeah,
know.
she wasn't a real beauty queen. I was like, necessary?
I know, right? So it's this dead woman, and this sheriff's like, "Well, I don't know why anyone would want to kill her. I didn't want to bone her."
Right.
Like,
She, first of all, she wasn't assaulted. Second of all, like, is that the, like, is women are only killed if they're,
women are only valued if men want to fuck them.
yeah. So it was so outrageous that I was like, let me take that out of this
Yeah.
documentary
Yeah.
and put it here. It's so insulting. Um, and that I can't, I don't know if they left it in because it was insulting or because, I don't know.
Because it's like, what? I know. It's the reason trolls often go to, well, I wouldn't have sex with you. And you're like,
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah.
We're
Good.
all on the same page. Good. That's meant to be an insult. Getting dissed and deaf, yo, right? Like,
So, so 1 week before she died, she did have a weird message on her um, answering machine from a man who just said, "I know where you live, and I can't wait for us to be together." She was so rattled by it, she actually took her answering machine into work and played it for her colleagues. But like we said, it was missing; it was nowhere to be found.
yeah.
And like we said, because it's digital, that if you lose the answering machine, it's
Right.
you're not gonna. Earlier, like I said, she had
What
had
happened?
some roommates that helped her supplement her rent.
Mhm.
She had, and then she also had a really close friend in her. They checked on both of the roommates. The first one she just didn't get along with, but it was just different living styles. It wasn't like contentious.
Yeah. Yeah.
The second guy she liked, but he moved out to buy his own place, and they questioned both of them, and there was like nothing there. And then she also had a really good friend who lived in the development that she lived in that was a painter. And they checked him out, but like it just was like it just seemed like they were really good friends. They would just like go see a movie together, have dinner together, like just platonic,
Yeah.
maybe. Who knows? Nothing untoward there. Um, so
No one wanted to bone her.
nobody, because she was not a beauty queen. I'm just kidding.
God.
She was,
No, yeah.
I'm sure, the like such a love. She sounds like such a lovely person, and she had two cats. How bad?
Right.
How bad can you be? So she was looking for a new roommate, and when they went to oh, this is, by the way, she it was to share half of a condo. This was her ad: share 2/2 condo, female 34 plus two cats, 290 plus half utilities. I'm like, man, that is so cheap in 1990. But anyway, she had just placed that ad in right before, like in earlier in the month that she died. She had placed an
Oh,
ad, and when they went and according to case file, when they went and looked at her address book or her list of people who had called about the place, there was only one name that didn't have a last name, and it was a woman called Alice. And she had actually spoken about Alice to other people. She met her. She really, really liked her. She
mm,
said, um, she told her family and friends that she was a wonderful woman, that she was from England. She worked for IBM, and was being she was working temporarily at a Fort Lauderdale IBM office, and that they were just really like she just really like was excited. She felt like Alice was just the person that she would get along with, and they'd actually hung out a bunch of time
wow.
before um before the this all happened. Alice was supposed to move in on July 20th, and her brother says that like he knew also about Alice, and his sister assured him that Alice was trustworthy, but he said that his sister was like the kind of person who gave everybody the benefit of the doubt and was just like really trusting.
Yeah.
So, and in fact, that night, so that weekend, her friend Mike from the condo had asked her to have a spontaneous hangout, which he said like she never said no to that, and that she actually said no because she was going to go hang out with her new roommate Alice.
Mm.
So, um, McGowan also tells her friends that Alice is into numerology, and she says that she wants to do Beverly's numbers.
Okay.
So she asks her for numbers that are significant, like her birth date. And then
And her social security number.
she does. She asked her
Oh
for her
God.
passport and driver's license number to predict her future. Um, Even though McGowan was cautious, I don't know, maybe she told her friends that, she turned over the information. And Alice told her that she would come into money, have no worries, and meet a man that she would marry when she turned 40. And then she also said that a man and a woman in her life were going to deceive and hurt her.
Hmm.
When the authorities looked into it, oh, and so it was in one thing that stood out to them was that Alice never tried to move in. Like the date came and went, and there was
Oh,
no Alice.
weird. Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, and
That's
then
weird.
then they call IBM and they said not only do they not have any English employees working in South Florida, there's no office in Fort Lauderdale.
Do your research, scammer.
Yes. And at the same time, they realized that 795 of the $800 in McGowan's bank account was withdrawn.
Wow.
They find out that, and her credit card. This is before the brother had the credit cards used, canceled. So, because remember, her body was found, and then the next day, right?
Right.
This person is like right before that. So sometimes I'll tell you something that happened before, but I'll tell you after.
Okay.
Um, so, a British woman, an attractive, very tall, blonde woman with long blonde hair and a British accent, used her credit card to buy books and clothes at a place called Aventura Mall.
The
Um,
mall.
hmm. And then on July 20th, so that would have been the day that the body was found, her card was used again in Miami at a place called Thunderbird Travel. Now, this is okay. So I'm so what they say in both the podcast and case file and in the articles and in the documentary is that the person who helped this person said that they thought it was a man dressed as a woman. I think what they mean is like a disguise, like it looked like a
A
disguise
disguise. Yeah.
because it was like a very cheap, they call it a Cleopatra wig with a fringe. It looks like very like 70s like Joan Jett to me.
Yeah.
um, and round glasses, calling themselves Sam, and they spoke in an English accent. And they bought British Airways ticket, and they reserved a car from Avis in London, and they used Beverly McGowan's credit card information
Hmm.
to do all that.
That was back when you could get on a plane without your ID or yeah, you didn't have to verify your identity to buy a ticket.
I think it's also
Sounds like
weird that they're like, "Hi, I'm Sam. Here's my credit card. It's Beverly."
Barbara. Yeah, right.
It's weird.
Yeah.
But hey, it's the 90s, right?
It's 90s, yeah.
Um, so the Sergeant Brooks is the detective who from St. Lucie PD. I'm hoping it's not the same guy who called her not a beauty queen. Let's say
Yeah.
it's a different guy. He obtained. So now they realize. So they're a day behind. They're like 2 days behind. So they keep saying like he's getting frustrated because he's like a step or two behind the killer or killers, right? Because they don't know, is this a man and a woman working together? Like they have no idea what's going on. So he obtains a passenger list for the flight that this person booked, but no one had Beverly's name. In other words, they didn't use her name on the flight.
Okay.
So Beverly's passport was not used. But they did find her car abandoned in a parking lot nearby. There were no fingerprints in the car, or not no like usable fingerprints in the car, but they did find 4 hairs from a synthetic black wig.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, how did they like did the person like pull out like was that deliberate or like just like did she do this and then I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe
Um
it was a cheap wig and they just shed all over the place.
yeah, I guess so. Um So why did I write BA? Who is
British Airways?
Oh, British Airways flight. I'm like, what is that? the British flight had landed. So by the police are figuring this out at the same time. This person like a little ahead. So this person I'm going to call Sam arrives in London on like they leave on 7:22 and they arrive 7:23 London time. They're still in the black wig and round sunglasses. They go to Avis to rent the car. But and it's Beverly's driver's license is confirms the booking. And I guess she looked close enough to how Beverly looked. And if you look at pictures from this time period, she looks like her.
Okay.
He or she looks like
Yeah.
Beverly. And like if you weren't looking close enough, if you were just looking at hair and glasses, you'd be like,
Yeah.
it's the same person. When they asked for a credit card to pay for fuel, the card is declined because her brother by this time had
Mhm.
canceled it. So she says, "Oh, I was over my limit," and she just pays with cash. I guess at that time you could pay cash at a rental place.
I guess.
And now they realize, now her brother and the police realize that canceling her card was a huge mistake because that is the only way to track this person.
Right.
And now
Right.
they're gone.
Right.
So, so the officials are certain that this is the same person who bought the stuff at the U.S. travel agency. They don't know if it's a man or a woman. Like they don't really know what's going on. But also, the UK is out of their jurisdiction.
Right.
They have to call Metro London PD and ask for help. And a man, I don't know why I didn't write down his first name. His last name is Cornish, I guess because I love
Oh,
the name. So Detective Cornish agrees to help, and he speaks with Avis, and they were like, okay, so if she calls, if you get in contact with her, pretend like she needs to come into the office. Sam,
yeah.
and then we'll be waiting. So later that week, Sam calls and says they need to extend the rental lease, and they say, "Okay, please visit a nearby office."
Yeah.
But Sam never shows. So
Smelled it.
they have a backup plan. They say, "We're just going to wait in Heathrow for when the car was to be returned, and that way we'll get her then or him." And instead, they find the car abandoned several miles from the airport and wiped
Right.
fingerprints. So they know that
Because
this person knows.
why, right. Why would you take the car back if you've already not want to come to the
Yeah.
office? Yeah.
So they order the same day, they order a team to board every American bound flight to look for this person, Sam. Anyone who
Wow.
looked like them, but there was nobody who looked like that.
To look for this person who was wearing a wig and glasses at the time. So,
Their thinking is not like I could see it's just a desperate like they're throwing out
right.
like yeah. I get I would assume that they knew that it was kind of just like a Hail Mary, but they were
Yeah.
probably like, well, what else are we gonna do?
Yeah.
Um, so so unfortunately, this person is gone. There's no way to track them, and then there's a year without any movement on the case.
Wow.
Unsolved Mysteries puts it on there. Nothing happens. The detective from Port St. Lucie, Dave Brooks, keeps working on the case and keeps the family updated. And the brother, Steve McGowan, says that like one time he was visiting his house and he just started crying because he was like so distraught over not being able to like help them and solve the case because it was just so frustrating, you know. But the case just went like pretty dead.
Yeah.
They come up with like another Hail Mary, which is to get the passenger manifest to find out like look up all the name, basically investigate
Yeah.
the
Go
names.
through everyone. Yeah.
So they can look at the passengers that are from Florida, but they need the U.S. government's help to get names of people who don't live in Florida, and because I guess they only have jurisdiction right where they are. And the U.S. Department of, I'll tell you in a minute, tells them it's going to take years to complete the process.
What?
So they have to wait years for the manifest.
I
Um,
guess that's the 90s for you. No, it wasn't on computers.
it's definitely not SVU. If Olivia Benson walked in there, that shit
Right.
would be done in 5 minutes.
She'd speak a little Italian.
She'd be like, "Let me speak to your boss," and
Yeah.
then she would crush that person, and then, you know, And Ice-T would stand in the back of her and just like give the backup look, like,
Right.
"Where do you need me?" And Liv's like, "I
Right.
got it. I know what I'm doing." So it's 5 years later. Like they keep it's not they don't like let it go cold like where nobody is working on it, but there's really like not a lot to do while they're waiting.
Right. Right.
5 years after this point, they assign a detective called Rena Crowningshield, which I love that. What a
That's a
name! There's such great names in this.
great
Assigned to it, and she was going to work with this other woman called Nora Pfeiffer, who's an investigator for the state's attorney's office. And this Nora Pfeiffer has never forgotten this case. She
Wow.
is like studying, she's been studying it. She is like ready to go. And
Cool.
finally the manifest is ready. Um, and in 1996, they get a name from the US State Department of the person that they think was this fictitious person.
Sam. Yeah.
And the name is Sylvia Ann Hodgkinson. She's an adult woman with dark hair and eyebrows, born July 22nd, 1964. And she was from a borough in southeast London. She had little education. She just kind of had like a meager life. She married a dairy worker husband, but he passed away in 1985. And from there, she lived in a women's shelter for women experiencing homelessness in London.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so she was like really down on her luck. She was like they called her like simple, like she wasn't really like sophisticated. But all of a sudden a passport is issued to her in 1986. So they know that someone has stolen her identity in 1986.
Mm.
Someone has preyed on this woman because she was like in a homeless shelter and wasn't like really like
She couldn't have done it herself,
yeah.
or most likely would
Yeah.
not have been
This
able to do it
this
herself.
poor woman, yeah. Also, they couldn't find hide nor tail of Sylvia, so they were afraid that she had met a similar fate. But I will tell you now, we don't know. There's
Wow.
no evidence of
She's just gone.
she's gone. Which
Wow.
could be that she lived on the street. Like it could be anything. You don't know.
Right.
Was experiencing homelessness, so I don't know. Um, but when they run that name, they find that alias is associated with two other names. And those names are Charlotte Ray Cowan and Elaine Antoinette Parent. And if you remember the name Charlotte Ray Cowan, you're going to remember how that story came together.
Oh, court.
We're in 1996, but they find uh, a report from 1991 where the police in North Miami approached a woman in a rental car. It had been leased 6 months ago in California and was due for return and had a stolen license plate. The female occupant was a tall redhead. She was calling herself Charlotte Ray Cohen, and she had identification with her. She was sleeping in a car with two dogs, several wigs, several IDs, and the three IDs were for Sylvia Hodgkinson, Charlotte Cowan, and Elaine Parent.
Wow.
So they take her in custody, but they don't question her about the IDs. And they let
Right.
her go the next day. And we know what happens. The
Right.
real Charlotte Cowan goes to court and says, I know who that is.
Right.
So a decade earlier, and I know the time jumps in this are like forget trying to figure out what happened when, just like whatever. So in the 80s, Charlotte was approached in a bar by a striking woman named Anne Tremont. And she thought that Anne seemed too sophisticated to be there and to even like pick her out of the bar, but she offered to buy Charlotte a drink, and Charlotte accepted. Accepted. She goes in with a numerology pitch,
Mhm.
and she asks Charlotte for her birthday, time of birth, social security number, and driver's license details. And Charlotte Cohen is so mesmerized by this woman and says she's so persuasive and sophisticated that she gives them to her and writes them down on a napkin and then makes positive predictions about her future. Now this was a bar. This was like a pickup place. They call it a gay bar. I don't know if that's the proper term anymore. Um,
It was then.
it was then. I I don't know. I don't know what it's called now. Just a bar. I don't really know what to call it.
I don't go to gay bars a lot, so no one goes to gay bars anymore right now.
Like, I feel like that's a very
Um,
90s, like,
yeah, yeah. And I think that's what straight people call
yeah,
bars that have
I
a gay clientele.
think
I feel
people
like,
are gay just call it a bar.
yeah, like people who are gay are like, this is the bar that we go to because it's safe. And
It felt wrong to me. I was like, I don't want to call it a gay bar, but that's
I
kind
know.
of like what they call it. But anyway,
I remember my parents once, they were like in a diner, they're on vacation and they swear it was the most exciting story they told. They're like, we think we saw a gay bar because the men going in there were very well dressed.
my
Okay.
bro- my brother lived in Palm Springs at the time, like at the time when like I guess people were referring it to as that. And he said the best name ever of a gay bar was Blame It on Midnight, and I was like, that is a fantastic. I want a shirt from there. Blame It on Midnight.
Uh,
It's so wonderful.
Here in
Um,
Philly, we had Woody's, and
yeah,
that's just like the most obvious name for a
that's
gay bar. And
such a Philly name.
just like, we're just going to put it out there.
Yeah,
Here you
Blame It on
go.
Midnight is so catchy.
Yeah.
Um, and
Oh, and the lesbian bar was called Sisters. So we're not gonna be coy. We don't have time. We're busy and we're gays.
So, Anne says that she's mending a broken heart because her last relationship ended badly. But soon after they start talking, a man, or not soon after, but a little while later, I'm so sorry. It's the soda. Sorry, everybody. I'm like Barney from The Simpsons, but I'm trying to be classy. So, a man with blonde hair enters the bar, and Anne tells Charlotte that that's her brother and that she has to go, but she gets Charlotte's phone number. The
Hmm.
next day they have lunch. What's weird is that Charlotte's mother comes along, but again, I don't know how. I don't know how it's done.
Well, if this is a lesbian bar, that's like U-Haul time.
I get
It's like it's the second date. You're meeting the parents. You're moving
with
in.
my mom, yeah.
This is
So,
how it works.
they had a few more dates after that. She met her Anne's brother, who seemed like she said just as posh as Anne did. And but over time, the contact between the women just kind of faded out. And they like weren't really talking anymore. But months later, Anne called Charlotte to say that her aunt died and left her a big inheritance that she had to split with her brother. But her brother didn't want to share it, so he had her committed. I feel like I've heard this story before.
I
I feel
mean,
like this is a
yes,
movie.
that's a thing that happens in novels,
Yes, yes.
but you're calling from the institution
Right.
then?
Yeah. I feel like this is that's a soap opera trope.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and are you Victorian? Because like it's harder today to lock away troublesome women.
so a month later, uh, Anne, sorry, there's too many A's. Anne shows up at 3 a.m. at Charlotte's house wearing a fake mustache for some reason, a man's shirt and tie, and a wig. And she tells Charlotte that she's escaped from the hospital where her brother had her admitted and was now on the run from her family.
Oh, that's why she was in disguise because she's on
Mhm.
the run.
Right.
Okay.
And she begged to borrow her birth certificate.
What?
Charlotte was like, no, but then Anne was becoming really, really distressed. And it's like 3 a.m., I guess. So she agrees to give it to her again. I don't want
No.
to judge. I don't want to judge Charlotte because she's a victim, but like,
Right.
guys,
What
don't give
what
your birth certificate, social security number, driver's license number. Don't give any of
right.
that away.
What could she possibly do with it except scam you?
Nobody is posh enough for that.
Right.
I don't care how well sophisticated they are, from what country. Nobody gets that information.
Her father was a viscount.
Unless you're at a doctor's office and they're like, "We need your social security number," like that's it, right?
Right.
She started to get worried after a month when she didn't receive it, but
Wow, gosh.
eventually it did return in the mail with an apology for the delay. So she did get it back, but then she never heard from Anne
Yeah.
again. Then she received that summons, went to court, and she knew
Yeah.
that her
Because
identity had.
Anne used her birth certificate to order, oh no, I lost them, copies of
Mm-hmm.
all of her records. So that's how she got the ID and the passport. And
Right. So now the investigators are like, okay, well, we know that she's not Sylvia Ann Hodgkinson. We know that she stole that identity. We know she stole this Charlotte Conway or Cowan's identity.
right.
Sorry. Um, so let's look at this third alias, Elaine Antoinette Parent, and find out, like, is she a real person? Like, what's her deal? So
Right.
we look her up. She's born in August of 42 in Bronx, New York. She's 5'7" with dark hair and blue eyes.
So that's 20 years older than.
Mhm.
Right. So she would have been 50 in the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So at age 30, she had relocated to Florida. She's for a time she was a registered realtor. But then they see that she had an arrest in 1976 for shoplifting, and they took her fingerprints at that time.
Mm.
And then in 1985, she stole $40,000 worth of jewelry from an elderly woman she knew.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And this is right around the time that she would have met Charlotte. And then when they compared the fingerprints of the woman who was arrested in 1991 to the fingerprints of the woman who had done this stealing, it was the same person. So
So,
the parent was the person they were looking for.
and she was in her 50s.
She was in her 50s. There was no indication that this was a stolen identity. They think it was her true identity. Not sure. Question mark on there.
Interesting.
Um, they believe then that Alice is Elaine Parent, Alice the fake roommate. They believe it's the same
Yeah.
person. They don't have veritable proof, but right,
Right.
there's no fingerprints, there's no anything.
Right.
Parent leaves few traces. Oh wait, I'm sorry. The one of the sergeants in the crime says that she's got to be one of the best that they've come across. She leaves no. He's a scene of the crime officer with 30 years experience, and he says it tells me that she's very intelligent, meticulous, and deadly.
It sounds like what's her name from Killing Eve? The assassin.
That, but
Yeah. She's a master.
so they go back and they're like, okay, let's look at these farewell letters that Beverly wrote and re-examine them. And then they decide, like, it's in her handwriting. There's no like there's nothing like hinky about the way they're written, but they decide to look at the notepad for forensics, which I didn't know that they could do. And I'm like, did they do this in the Jean Bonnet case? But anyway, so what happens is they look at the paper and they have a way of revealing indentations in the paper that was on top of it. Like if somebody wrote on top of that paper on the page above it and then ripped it off, this process that they do will reveal indentations on the paper that aren't visible to the human eye.
Oh, wow.
I know. I'm like, part of me was like, I want that job.
I mean, I do. There is a trope of the detective like gets the pad and sees that something had been written but I didn't know you could detect ones that weren't
Oh, yeah.
visible. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
I don't know why I picture somebody with like a candle. Like I know that's not how they did it at all, but I'm like picturing like, and I guess it's pretty painstaking because you have to like go through the process and then somebody has to take a pen and then trace what's there, and you're not going to get a full
Right.
letter. You're going to get parts of it, right?
And you're going to get the letters that have been written on top of that.
Yeah.
So,
But they find other handwriting that wasn't Beverly's on on the forensic evaluation, and they translate, or not translate, but they find what appears to be a hostile letter to a former lover that says, in part, "You will feel the repercussions, I guarantee it. After your treatment and abandonment of me, I have no remorse in tearing down what in truth I created anyways. Give me back my life." So
interesting.
they get that and they compare it to, I guess, what they have of Elaine Parent's handwriting, I guess, from her old arrests, and it matches. So this woman, Dr. Barbara Kerwin, um, is, I think, a forensic psychologist, and she is an expert in Elaine Parent. She studied her and
Wow.
did like a profile on her, and she said that the letter showed that Elaine was rage filled and highly manic, in a highly manic psychiatric state when she wrote the letter.
So, on this same pad of paper,
Mm-hmm.
Elaine, the scammer and murderer, writes the angry letter to the ex.
Mm-hmm.
And the woman who's murdered is writing these goodbye letters, but not in distress.
Correct. Underneath this letter. So I don't know how that, again, it's mysterious. I don't
Yeah,
know how that works.
that's very strange.
Yeah. Um, you will have questions. I have questions.
Okay.
So they find that this letter was addressed to a woman in the UK. So again, they call up the UKPD. Cornish joins the crew again, and they actually have they keep this person's name anonymous. I guess at the time some of these articles were written, Elaine Parent was still um, a threat,
Wow.
and so like Charlotte Cowan's name wasn't published in some of them. In the documentary, she's like hidden,
Even
um,
though Elaine knows what your identity is because
right?
she
But I
stole
guess
it.
so afraid of her like killing that. Like there's a
Okay, yeah.
so witness X is what they call this woman in England. She met Elaine on a trip to Miami in the 1980s, and they entered a romantic relationship. I like when they say that entered. Like, come on
Yeah.
in. Oh,
Oh, hello.
romantic in here. Entered. Um, so after she had stolen all that $40,000 in jewelry, she fled the U.S. and went to London, and she moved in with Witness X. Obviously, Witness X didn't know what was happening.
Right.
She said that Elaine was had violent mood swings. Sometimes she'd be really happy, and other times she would be aggressive, violent, and temperamental. She had threatened witness X's life and tried to emotionally blackmail her. That's what they say
Mm.
in the case file. In another article, they say that she threatens to tell this woman's employer that she's gay. I guess the employer
Ooh.
doesn't know. And so,
Well, you couldn't be out back then.
yeah, they break up. And then Parent comes back to the UK after she's fled after Beverly's,
Okay.
where she stole Beverly's identity. She begs Witness X to get back together. They do, but then they split again. Soon after this, and I can't get the timeline. I don't know if she does this in the UK or in the US, but soon after, Parent takes out a series of ads. Oh, it has to be in London. A series of ads in the Lonely Hearts column of London listing magazine Time Out. And she describes herself as a gourmet cook who loves fine wine and for some reason says she's the proud owner of a fine collection of copper cookware. I find this absurd.
That's so weird.
It's such a weird detail that I was like, do I leave that in? And I'm like, yeah, sure.
Well, look, I'm gonna put my Lodge cast iron Dutch oven in my Tinder profile then. Proud owner of a Chrissy Teigen cast iron pan as well.
What's weird is that she clearly doesn't have these things because she's on the run.
Right,
So
right.
like, what are you going to do? Meet someone and be like, "Oh, my fine collection of copper cookware is at the shop." Like, where?
It's all in the dishwasher. All of it right now. No, you cannot see.
Yeah, don't open that. It smells in there. So it's
Oh man.
weird. Anyway, so 3 months after returning to London, she kidnaps Witness X's dogs,
Ooh, the dogs.
returns to the US, and then from the US, she sends Witness X a death threat cut out of letters from a newspaper.
Wait. Did she bring the dogs to the US?
Hmm.
That's hard to do.
I know, but she does
That's hard
it.
to do.
And then she cuts out the letters from the newspaper, sends her a threat, which honestly would scare the shit out of me. And then she demands a ransom for the dogs. These are
Oh,
the dogs, by the way, that are found in the car
in the
with her.
car.
Right. She's stolen other identities. They think that she's stolen, excuse me, other identities when she was in England. She definitely learned to imitate a convincing English accent. The 1996 State Department accused her of passport fraud, but they didn't know where she was. They released her name to the media, but um, nothing came of it. And they don't name her as a suspect of Beverly McGowan's murder, but they come short of it. They say like this woman might have vital or firsthand knowledge, but no tips come in.
Hmm.
They know that for a time she goes to Mexico and becomes in 1991 and becomes a manager in a restaurant. She moves to Tennessee and works at a Sears. These are all weird choices.
And I guess that every time they figure this out, she's already gone.
I guess she's just very good at like what they
Yeah.
say in the documentary. I think is I read a lot. What they say in the documentary is that she doesn't just steal your identity; she takes your personality. So she just becomes another person.
Hmm. That's why she's the chameleon killer.
Yeah, because she's just so good at like just becoming a completely different person every time. So that it's not even just that she looks different, it's that her whole affect is different every time. So I guess she's just really good at that. I don't know how one gets good at that. I don't know.
Improv.
Yeah.
To
What do
tell us,
you mean?
these are my copper pots and pans.
Funny. In 1995, she joined Fit. No, she joined Fit House team.
Yeah. All the
Um,
scammers who would have thought.
there was a 19. So the last known sighting of her had been on a road south of Nashville. Again, how do you? I don't know how anyone sees somebody on a road. Okay.
Right.
In 1988, there's a segment on her on America's Most Wanted. They show a picture of her with short black hair, white shirt, and like lots of gold jewelry. Apparently, like the only thing she doesn't change, um, like she'll change her hair, her like all this stuff, but the only thing she doesn't change is that she always has like expensive
Mm,
either clothes or like jewelry. Like she always looks sophisticated,
yeah.
like in the way of the person, I guess.
Okay.
Um,
Well, why scam everyone's identity if you're not gonna
right,
if you're gonna be a slob?
right,
Like, she's not going around in joggers with other people's money.
right. So, which is really the smart way to do it. I mean, like be posh in your house and then go outside and look like a like slum.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And when she's on America's Most Wanted, a woman named Patricia Nevins recognizes her as someone she knew as Sandra Little, but was a blonde. She met
Oh, wow.
Sandra. This Patricia Nevins is like a church lady. She meets Sandra in 1992. Elaine was living in a shelter, and Patricia Nevins is like a church lady and like tries to help her and all that.
Mhm.
Little does she know that Elaine Parent has a civil negligence suit against the state of Florida for slipping in a restaurant,
Oh,
and
no.
the amount that she won is undisclosed. I love that she's just a scammer for all. Like
Yeah.
she's slipping in restaurants. She's like,
Which is weird because all of that is public information.
mhm.
If you're gonna go through the courts, that's
Yeah.
all public
Well,
information.
the what she got is undisclosed. The amount that she won.
Well, that is right. But her identity and where she is and what she's doing is
Yeah. So she stays with Patricia for a time, and she says like all she really likes to do is watch TV. She loved to see the foreign news, and she loved America's Most Wanted. Come on,
Yeah, I bet she did.
get on
And
board.
she was always like, "Can we watch that one that I like again about the lady scammer?"
Um, but there were clues like in hindsight. Parent told her that the only way she could have a proper life is if she had a different identity. At a party, she pretended to cut off one of Patricia's friend's hand to steal his gold bracelet. Patricia arranges for Elaine to see a psychiatrist, which I think is kind of bold.
Yeah.
And then the psychiatrist tells Patricia, I'm like, I guess no HIPAA.
Yeah, that's yeah.
He informs Patricia that Elaine Parent is extreme, or Sandra Little is extremely intelligent, budding sociopath who will leave her life as soon as she showed up, and that's just what happened.
Wow. They nailed it.
5 years later, she's again on America's Most Wanted, and around that time, the St. Lucie Police Department receives a postcard with a London Post stamp, and on the front is a picture of a gray-haired woman in a bathing suit coming out of a pool with like what looks like pearl earrings, and on the back it says "Your Chameleon," an oil sketch by Piper, best wishes, and then a legible signature.
Oh, I got that photo because you sent it to me.
I showed everybody that
I've been thinking about this all day. As soon as you started, I'm like, what does that photo relate
that
to?
is like I guess she was like, oh, and so that's how she gets her name, the Chameleon Killer, because she writes it, "Your Chameleon."
Wow.
I love that she had an oil sketch done of her as an old woman
In a pool.
in a pool. Barbara Kerwin says that she craved attention of authorities as much as she feared it, and that the postcard is a tease.
Yeah.
Like you don't have me, kind of, and you're never going to.
Right. And I'm living my best life in this pool
Right.
with my saggy boobs that
Yeah,
I
it's like
had them paint.
not super flattering, but hey, I guess, you know,
Yeah.
no beauty queens in this.
No beauty queens. Good for her.
Um, in in February of 1999, this case was on the World's Most Wanted and received international attention. People claimed they saw her everywhere, and that's where she was dubbed the World's Most Wanted Woman, which is the name of the documentary. Um, One time after that, Patricia thought she saw Elaine Parent at Sam's Club.
Oh no.
Patricia looked away for a second, and when she did, Elaine Parent, who she thought was Elaine, was gone. And she reported it to the authorities, and they checked the database, but Elaine Parent did not belong to Sam's Club. I would be shocked if
Terrible.
Elaine is using her real identity to shop at Sam's Club.
Right.
Whatever.
Right. Oh, Harrison says it's a terrible sketch.
It is.
It
Uh,
is.
Stolen identity to get all those bargains, all those, what do they, those free, they got rid of our Sam's Club, but they have the free samples that are like really delicious.
Oh
That's
yeah.
what he was after. No, I don't know that. I'm just kidding. In April 2002, she was on America's Most Wanted again. And
Shush, you're fine. Sorry, my cat is singing.
after it aired, tips poured in from Panama City, St. Andrews Bay, which I don't know where this is, but neighbors, even people who were calling in, were even providing an address.
Wow.
America's Most Wanted informs the authorities. They arrive at this address and they knock on the door, and a middle-aged brunette woman answers in pajamas. They give her a cover story that they received a 911 call and they're following up. And the woman introduces herself as Darlene Thompson and offers a military ID. It looked nothing like Elaine Parent, and the
Hmm.
officer thought this was just like a total mistake. So they ask her to come to the station to clear it up, and she says yes, but I just want to change out of my pajamas.
It's a
So
run.
the three officers wait outside her bedroom, and as they're waiting there, the officer's looking at her ID, and he realizes that it's missing a stamp that would verify its authenticity. Like
Wow.
he's familiar with them, and he realized
Yeah.
it's missing a stamp.
It's a fake ID.
He knocks on her door to address it, which I don't know why you would just wait for her to come out. And she says, like, wait a minute, I'm getting dressed. And then moments later, they hear a gunshot. They open the
No.
Yeah. They open the door and they find Darlene laying in a pool of blood. There's a wound in her chest and she's holding a 357 Magnum. They collect her fingerprints and she is identified as Elaine Parent. Her so now she They did blow it.
They
Um,
did.
but what could they? I guess they. Oh, I guess like they. I guess they were giving this woman the benefit of the doubt, but like, don't give anyone the benefit of
Right, and especially after she's given you the slip so many times,
the. Hmm.
which she's like, "I'm gonna go in my bedroom and change out of my pajamas." You gotta be like, "No."
So you're wearing your pajamas downtown, lady.
Right.
Uh,
Get your slippers with the hard soles out.
they said that, so her roommate, who was the owner of the house, said that parent would take her dog. This
Yummy.
woman's had a dog to the park and chat with other women in the park, but her neighbors said that parent wasn't friendly with neighbors.
Yeah, because she was on a mission.
Yeah. She told her roommate that she worked in telecommunications in the city. They found amongst her things a counterfeit license with Elaine's photo, but with the name of the woman she was living with. So she already had stolen her.
She was on her way.
They found several applications for passports. They found wigs that were men and wigs and men and women's clothing, French, like how to speak French books, and how to do stage makeup. The her people who knew her said that she was always with a laptop, but that laptop and I forgot, I eliminated this by accident, but when they found her in that car, she had a diary in there that they never found the laptop or the diary.
Oh, interesting.
She had a notepad that contained info about a man from a nearby city, with his social security number and credit card details. I'm sure she did the numerology on him.
Right.
On the desktop computer, there was data useful for making fake IDs. And then it looked like, so the other weird thing that they found is that it looked like she made an FBI most wanted poster herself, and with the name Antonio Resermate. It's what I could discern from what they said on case file. And it said wanted for murdering government official in hotel room. And they thought maybe she made that to intimidate someone, but they don't know.
Hmm.
Um, Nora Pfeiffer, who was the investigator for the Florida State Attorney's Office, who trailed parents since McGowan's murder, said, "This is the most difficult homicide I've ever handled. We've always been days, months, and even years behind the killer. Our suspect is a mistress of disguise and has more than 20 false identities, many of them stolen. I've had sightings of her in London, Paris, Turkey, Australia, and South Africa. And 12 years after Beverly was murdered, I'm still no closer to knowing why."
Wow.
They believe
Right, because she's the only one
that was
that
murder,
she
that they
killed,
know,
yeah,
that
that
they
we know of, right.
so she suspects, this woman talks about it in the documentary, and she suspects that because of the brutality of the murder, first, she doesn't think that she'd be able to do it, get away with it on her own. Just like
Hmm.
how like mutilating, moving the body, cleaning it all up. She thinks that there must be another person, and there's
Yeah,
always,
because
go ahead.
what happens to that brother?
That's what there's always this question of this other man. And then that the question of the other man comes in like with the travel agency in the US. Was that the brother dressed up? Was that her dressed? You know what I mean? Like there's an
Yeah.
unanswered question. They say that because she's has psychopathic and narcissistic traits, they don't think that she would work with somebody else. Like those people don't tend to
Yeah.
buddy up. But
Right, yeah.
they don't know. Like they honestly don't know. They don't know the reason for Beverly's murder. They don't know if she actually committed the murder or why. Like it doesn't make any sense.
Hmm.
And
So clever, yeah.
they do say, this woman Nora says that she believes that, because of the brutality of the murder, that she believes that she's done it that she did it in the past and would have done it again if,
Hmm.
yeah. A birth certificate for Elaine Parent has never been found. So
Wow, so who is she really, really?
yeah, they say that, Kerwin, psychiatrist, says psychopathic and narcissistic traits, tend to want to fill up the emptiness of their own personality, and that's what they think that she was doing. Like that her personality was a void, so she just filled
Mm.
it by like pretending to be other people. That she was a consummate con artist. She was highly adept at reading her victims and targeting their individual and personal, um, vulnerabilities. Um, and so like they really don't know why she killed Beverly, what if she had someone else kill Beverly, like what that was all about, because it like what the letters were all about, why she had her like run, like it makes no sense. It literally
Right.
makes no sense unless Beverly, my idea was that maybe Beverly like fell for her, and maybe she was like convincing her that they were going to run away together, and then
Mm.
but like disposing of someone is so much more complicated than just walking away from them. So it's a little peculiar.
Right. Because she was going to walk away anyway, and she had all those other times before. It's
And
not like she was covering the trail because she had never done that.
then Beverly like leaving her life behind doesn't make sense either because she had worked so hard to like
Right.
establish her career and her condo. So it's very weird. I don't know what went on between the two of
Yeah.
them.
Why not put her energy into good instead of evil? I know, right? Like she was
Yeah,
so smart and so
yeah.
good at stuff.
It's so interesting to me, like that as a psychopath, you have no personality, so you'd want to fill it
Yeah.
up with that's so interesting to me.
I so okay, I have a question about the timeline of so when she was Alice and she was going to move in, right?
Mhm.
The day came and went and she didn't move in.
Yeah. But
But
she was
did
already
she
in England then.
right, but
Mhm.
what's her name was still oh, so she was murdered before the day that Alice would have moved in?
Well, so the last time her brother spoke to her was on the 15th. The last time that she went to work was on the 17th.
Okay.
There's no accounting for her on the 18th, even though the letters were mailed on the 18th, but no one spoke to her.
Okay.
So she could have been murdered on the 18th, body dumped between then and by the 20th, this person had already been shopping with her credit cards and like going to London.
Well,
Well, so when she
so
was found on the 20th, this person had already shopped with her credit cards.
right. Right. So what if Alice had already scrammed before she got killed and was already using her identity like she did with everyone else, and someone totally different murdered her for a whole
Right.
nother
I mean,
reason?
it could very well be because the murder is the most bizarre part of
Yeah.
this. It's so brutal and like she didn't do it to anyone. She just absconded with everybody else. Like she didn't seem to necessarily really want to get her hands dirty. Like she never really wanted to face the consequences. So it's weird to me.
Right.
Unless like you said, who is that brother dude? But that guy was around a decade before.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, I truly don't know. It's a mystery that I don't think we'll ever know the answer to.
Yeah.
And poor Steve McGowan has lived this whole time. What he says that he has guilt every single day because of canceling her credit cards. Like he thought he was
Oh.
doing the right thing, and now he says because of that, like this woman, you know what I mean, like got away with basically all they could have traced her and found her, and because he canceled it, and
Yeah.
um,
Although she's so smart
mhm.
that she would have moved off of that really quickly.
I
She
know.
just
I know.
figured it out.
I do get that, and I do get his sorrow. So he says this has been. So he makes a statement at 11 years after. So that would have been
Mhm.
2002. He says it's been 11 years of wondering why. I mean, you do see stories in the newspaper, and you read them and think, "What a tragedy!" But that would never happen to me. It can never happen to my life, and then it does, and boy, does it wake you up. And it's so sad. I just felt
Yeah.
my heart is just broken for that family because they don't like they know they kind of know, but like aside from the Alice scam that obviously it seems like it's her because of the numerology and the pattern,
Right.
but beyond that and beyond the four wig hairs in her car, there's nothing linking the two, like the murder, and there's
Right.
no answered questions about like what was their sister planning to run away, was she being threatened to write that letter, like what,
Maybe she figured something out.
who knows,
Yeah.
like we really don't know. So yeah, like I know I love this story, but I hate the unanswered questions because it's just like
Yeah.
a riddle that you can't I don't think it could be solved, um
Yeah, it's bananas.
unless there was somebody else involved, and then you would know. But then again, if there was somebody else involved, I would have think by now something, right?
I mean, I guess they're running their own scams. More low stakes.
Yeah.
So Um, the brother.
Yeah.
When has he appeared? I remember him. She says that's my brother. She says that's my brother, and then she has to leave.
That's in 1985 when she meets Charlotte at
Okay.
the gay bar.
Are there other times when this brother is seen with her?
She meets him on one of their dates.
Okay, so it's just with
He has an
Charlotte,
English accent and is posh also, but like
but he's only present that we know of in this one
in that
instance.
one instance, no one's ever seen him again. But they're like, is he around? Is he? But I would think like
Right.
no, because I would think you don't have attachments in that kind of lifestyle.
Yeah, it almost. I wonder if she was like, if she got involved with him, not like romantically, but they were kind of in it together and were like,
Mm.
all right, we can help each other out.
Yeah, but even then, like it seems like she blows up her relationships. Like she doesn't know how to
All
have a
right.
relationship.
Maybe she was like, I'll pay you to pretend you're my brother.
Maybe it could be. Who knows? She could have been
Yes.
scamming that guy at the same time.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Double scam. I also
Oh,
think about how the police had her 1 year later with fake IDs
I know.
in a stolen, essentially, car and let her walk out the door and was like, "Okay, come back to court."
Yeah.
And they could have stopped so much and maybe found out about. They could have questioned her and maybe found out. Um,
Yeah.
so that is like, and also I don't like to bring this up, but I can't help wonder like where are Beverly's cats?
Yeah. And where are the dogs? Did they get sent back?
What happened to the dogs?
Where are the cats?
The cats, there's no trail. Like I'm assuming the dogs probably got like they probably took them into custody or I don't know. But the cats,
The cats.
they're gone, right? The cats are gone. Like and that's the other thing. Like what if you were just gonna kill her, wouldn't you leave the cats in the condo? Why would you take the cats? But she steals the dogs.
Oh, right. She steals the dogs for ransom. She steals the cats
For
maybe
what?
to make it look like she actually left because there was that whole ruse of I'm leaving, I'm walking away from my life.
In my scenario, she takes them to a shelter.
Yeah.
Or like she lets them go, and then somebody down the street is like, I found two cats and they've been so loved. I'm going to take them in.
Yeah. This is before microchipping.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, it's so weird because number one, could she have gotten away? She couldn't have gotten away with this in this time period, right? I mean, they're still con artists, but I guess they work differently.
um, yeah. Because what she would need, everything's digital. So if you want someone's information, it's incredibly, well, it's not incredibly easy, but like to get my birth certificate, you can just get that. That's a matter of public record.
Yeah, you can order that.
Yeah, from anyone you want.
Right.
Um,
The thing you couldn't do, well, I guess you could, she would have trouble buying with the credit cards, right? Like buying it on one name but being another, or
yeah.
into trouble at the airport. Not really, because
The airport, yeah.
she had fake ID though. People still con, like people con all
Yeah.
the time, so it clearly works. I guess she would know the modern way to do it. It seems like so much easier though in like the
She
80s.
she's selling LuLaRoe now.
She's an MLM.
She joined Nexium. She
She
is
would
a
be
white
good.
girl.
She would be a great cult leader.
Yeah, because she's very charismatic.
She's charismatic, she's convincing, she knows how to like make herself do herself to look really fancy, and she's ruthless.
Yeah. I mean, I'm impressed. She's terrible, but I'm impressed.
Yeah. If the murder was out of it, I would have a much easier
Right.
time digesting.
Right.
The murder is so brutal. It's so gruesome.
Ooh, there was a female cult leader.
Yeah, there were.
And I feel like she was in Philly for some reason. My favorite murder did one.
There's a
Um,
couple of women.
I can probably dig him out.
They're just as bad. I mean,
Yeah.
women can be just as bad as men.
And I mean, if you want to say Sheila from Wild Wild Country, she
Mm.
wasn't the guru, but she was on the top.
I mean, look at Allison Mack.
Oh yeah.
She went down with Raniere.
Teacher Neri. I know. I God,
Brenda.
I mean, I've watched both of those documentaries, and it was terrible and it was horrible what they did. And still, I wonder how much Allison Mack was a victim of it too.
I know, I know.
Right?
It is a bummer, like because you don't
It's
really.
it doesn't excuse the harm that she did, but it's just I don't know.
I am so fascinated by people who do this kind of thing. It is so out. It is so far away from anything
Hammers,
I would. Yeah, I don't
right?
know. Like Harrison, you said once that you catfished. If I can repeat that,
Ooh.
I and like so like I adore you and I think so highly of you. But I generally thought before you told me that I generally thought like why would somebody like what do you get from that? Oh, in your teens. You're different in
It's
your teens.
yeah, it's kind
As
of
an
like
adult,
role playing.
I guess, but like you're hurting somebody and you don't really get the reward. Like as a teen, I think it's different in your teens because
Yeah,
you're different. You're not fully
yeah, you're
dead and
yeah.
your whole and your whole thing. But
Teens are sociopaths. It's just nature.
it's yeah, it's
Toddlers and teens.
yeah. You do things as like life is an experiment when you're young. You're just
Yeah.
trying things out. But as an adult, I just think like you're hurting someone. You're getting
Oh, yeah.
emotionally invested in you only to just hurt them.
Well, so Harrison was trying out his identity.
Oh, that's different.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
totally
that's totally different. Right.
that makes so much sense.
Right.
So for you, it wasn't really like about you just wanted to feel what it was like.
Oh, wow, 32. Good for you. Good for you for figuring it out
I know.
and doing it.
Um, because like
Anyway,
okay,
Harrison also did a one man show about it, and it was amazing. I saw a little bit of it at a festival. It was so good.
so okay, so we know that I watched 90 Day Fiance and it's junk, but
I might get into that. I
there's a
might get into it.
there's a couple on there, Jenny and Summit, and she is like way older than him, no big deal. But his parents are against it. It's a whole thing. But
Oh
how
yeah.
they met is that he's from India, she's from Palm Springs, California. How they met is that he was catfishing her, pretending to be like a white American. Now that to me is a completely different scenario
That's
than
different.
what
Yeah.
Harrison, what you were doing. Like I never thought about that, and that makes honestly so much sense to me. I mean, like it makes sense why you would do that. I don't understand as like an adult who's not like trying like who's just doing that to like scam someone. I don't get. And then getting in a relationship with the person who catfished you is so crazy to me.
No. Oh, that's wild though. That's you know what? If you ever want to watch a really interesting reality TV show that should be trashy but kind of isn't if you think hard about it, about catfishing, Netflix is The Circle. It
Oh,
was out at the beginning of I can't it was out at the beginning of the pandemic,
mhm.
which I feel like it was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But so they take the contestants and they all live in this like apartment complex and they never see each other. They're all each of them is in their own room. They have their own unit and they post online and that's how they get to know each other and you're allowed to be whoever you want. So some people and it's interesting to see who decides to be someone else. And a lot of the time, the people who are catfishing in this show are people with marginalized identities who play with a more privileged, what they think is a more privileged
Wow, that's
like
interesting to
identity.
me.
So
Maybe he
yeah.
thought like I can't get this woman as me.
Oh yeah. There's an amazing storyline with a really butch woman, and it's just and then so you interact through just text and in this like little social network that they built, you can post whatever pictures you want and you like post photos and there are challenges and games and you chat with each other, you get to know each other, you talk about the other people. And then when you get eliminated, you get to go meet one person. So
Oh.
like knock on their door, look them in the eye. And so you have to do that even if you're catfishing. So
Oh
you pick a
wow.
person to go, and it's yeah. And so a lot of the game is people who are trying to figure out who's catfishing who.
Hmm.
Um, oh, and the person who one of the people who got really, really far is this girl Sammy, who is our friend Cynthia from Improv's cousin.
Oh,
So,
that's
and there's a dude from
wild.
Delco on it
That's wild.
eventually. Yeah. Yeah. It's really interesting. And
That's
it's really, really interesting to see in the chats, like when the male identities chat with the women. I think that you could tell. I don't remember if anyone catfished as a man, but um I feel like you'd be able to tell if it was a catfish because they didn't flirt with you.
yeah.
Like all of the dudes are creepy and objectifying when they're not like in various levels of like good and bad. But
Yeah.
like when you're talking to men and all that, you can see the moment.
Hmm.
Every woman is like, okay, well, there's that line, and now I have to kind of massage this situation. And you could tell their brain is like, okay, now I'm in handle mode.
Hmm.
Like, it's interesting. It's
That's
interesting.
so interesting because I never thought of there being any other reason than like tricking. I didn't think of it as like a there being complex issues to it, which I don't know why I didn't, because it's always like kind of disturbed me. But now I'm like, oh, some of it makes sense. Like
Yeah.
that
And
you.
some people are scamming for money,
Oh yeah,
which
that's the other. Yeah, I mean
if
that's a whole
you
other thing.
if I feel like if you are a very marginalized identity, like who gets a lot of abuse from men, and you catfish as like a really hot girl and you take money from dudes, that's just redistribution of wealth. Like that is good.
I noticed that there's a lot of older women on and men on 90 Day Fiance who are being like catfished by like people like a lot of times from Nigeria. There's like a lot of those scams.
Oh
It's not
no.
always, it's not like 100%, but they have a lot on 90 Day Fiance. And then like like this guy's scammed by this girl in from the Ukraine, and it's just so interesting because it's the same thing. It's like this person who wants so badly to believe that this person they're talking to is in love with them, and
Right.
everyone else is like that person is not real,
Right.
are not in a relationship with this person, and like they're spending money and time and they're investing their heart, and it's like, oh god, like
Yeah. That's if you're gonna scam for good, you can't do that. You can't do
that's
love
what
stuff.
yeah, yeah, love stuff is hard because it's just there's like a trope on that show, but it happens over and over again, and it's sad. The guy who was talking to that girl for 8 years, Gina, who's that, is on that show. Like,
While Harrison answers, I have a question. So if I was gonna get into 90 Day Fiance,
mm-hmm.
should I start at the beginning? Is there a season I should start with?
See, okay, there's a lot of iterations of it. I
Right, right.
personally like there's one called The Other Way where Americans go to live in the other country. I
Ooh,
personally like that one better
that
because
sounds cool.
yeah, it's not trash, but it's got a different element to it. And
Okay.
I thought the last season, I actually used the last season as my oh, that's Jenny and Summit Harrison. Um, I used the last season in my class to talk about intercultural relationships and like
Oh, he likes the other way too.
yeah,
Okay, cool.
because there's things that come up that like even if these relationships aren't workable or sustainable, there's interesting things that come up. Like this one girl, she's like 7 months pregnant and moves to Ethiopia and like is not prepared to live in
No.
Ethiopia
Right, no.
and have her baby there. And it's
Right.
just like the cultural shock is big. And then there's another woman from Miami who's like gorgeous and like she's like an influencer, and she's trying to get into a relationship with a Muslim man who's like, I want you to get married and convert to Muslim, and she's like, no. And
Oh,
she doesn't understand the consequences of her actions.
right.
Really interesting. Like it's there's an element to it that's like interesting. It's
Yeah.
not just that idea of somebody's come like because in the other things you're just like there's always that idea of like is somebody coming over for a green card. Um
Yeah.
but yeah,
And
the other
even
way,
that is hard.
yeah.
My friend from high school, her husband is Canadian, and she shares a lot of the steps that they had to go through, and it's just like It's
Yeah.
basically set up to fail. It's so hard. It's you can't just come over and get married and get a green card. It's just like it's so hard.
I like the happily ever after um iteration also because it's after the bullshit of get like the ones where you're not even sure if the people are going to get married. I'm kind of like it's hard to get invested in those because a
Mm,
lot of the relationships are stupid. But once they get together and are married, that's when you see the conflict, and that's what I like is that the happily ever after I think is also
okay.
good for that because you're seeing like just like how their families are getting along, how they're like last season on that one, there's a couple, he is from shit. She where is he from? It's a it's like Pacific South Pacific Island. Um anyway, his family just expects him to like send money, but they were like broke. They have like
Oh,
and then
yeah.
he basically lets his wife do everything and like he'll come like she'll be carrying everything and bringing the two kids in and he'll just like go in the house and close the door and like go downstairs to play video games. It's like really
Yeah.
and he's kind of a dick to her and but she's trying to make it work and it's just really interesting to see the cult like they live with her
Yeah.
because they can't afford it's just really interesting to see just how people relate when they don't speak the same language, have the same culture. I find that fascinating.
If they don't speak the same language, how did they get together?
I don't know. One couple in before the 90 days, they had to use a translator to talk to each other. And I'm like,
How is this like mail order bride shit? Like,
well, they're both beekeepers and they met
okay.
on like a bee, like, okay, but on the other way, this guy, sorry, I'm going like fangirling hard. Probably everybody's leaving. There's a couple, it's like the first truly gay, there was a bi couple, but they were like barely a couple in the last season. This couple is like Kenny and Armando, and Kenny's older and he moves to Mexico to be with Armando because his wife had died and he has a little daughter and his
Oh.
family is like not accepting of him being gay, like
Hmm.
not a thing, I guess, in Mexico or where he's from. And so it's all about like him like telling his family and then moving away and them like coalescing and him Armando being okay with like holding hands and Kenny like you know what I mean?
Oh,
It's like very
yeah.
sweet. And then they have trouble getting married. Oh, Kenny absolutely needs to learn the language. He has no excuse. But Kenny's like a diva. He's like from
Uh,
Florida. He's like very fancy. He has the most wonder. He has, I think, four children, three or four children, grandkids. He's like the nicest,
mm,
sweetest, but he just like is a diva and doesn't care about learning Spanish anymore.
yeah.
He lives in, and they are a beautiful couple. Like that couple is like restores your faith in humanity, and then
That's
you have
nice.
other couples that you're just like go away.
Wow.
So you get like the gamut.
There's also in the trash column, there's a new HBO series called The 12 Dates of Christmas,
Ooh.
which is the name of many terrible Hallmark/Lifetime movies, but it's a reality show. And they take these three contestants and they put them in, they're in a castle. First of all, I haven't watched this, but I'm very excited. They put them in a castle.
I love when there's a castle.
And I know. And they fill the castle with like eligible people. And you can, for all, not all three of them, but each person, like this person is the producers, like send them in, having picked them out for someone. Um, but I don't know if they know that. So it's just like date whoever you want. Yeah. So I'm gonna watch that.
I would
Uh,
never want to be on a reality show because like about that, like love stuff, because I'd be
yeah.
too shy and like too embarrassed.
Yeah.
I definitely would find it easier if somebody was just like, here's a person that you should date. They are perfect. And that
Yeah.
person was like, yes, I would like to try that. Like that would be the best scenario. If somebody else just like was like set it up and
Yeah.
knew me well enough to be like,
Right.
that's not how life works.
Matchmakers. There are matchmakers still to this day that you can pay. I know someone who did it.
I do too. And
Yeah.
she just got married last semester.
Wow.
But they're so expensive.
I
She
know.
spent like 40,000, I think, or 20,000, something. So I think she spent 25.
Wow.
It's like
It's for rich people. Yeah.
for rich people.
It's for privilege. And yeah. And yeah.
Or like there's that Indian matchmaker.
Yeah, I watched that. Did you watch that?
Yeah, I stopped midway, but
It was so good.
I didn't stop for any reason. I just kind of forgot
Yeah,
about
yeah.
watching. But it was really good. It was
That
good.
was really good.
Yeah.
Love on the Spectrum is also amazing.
Oh, is it?
If you haven't watched it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Love on the Spectrum is people who are autistic and have Asperger's. I don't know
Mhm.
if we still call it that. But
Yeah.
they you don't have to ban people who just tweet weird, chat weird stuff.
Sorry, it makes me uncomfortable.
Um, Sweetie, I hate to tell you, but people are going to be weird at us
I know.
in
Okay,
public on the internet.
I'm sorry.
It's fine. Sorry if you were just being nice. It's Killa57_8. No, so Love on the Spectrum, yeah, they have they're neuroatypical and they go on dates and everything's very planned, but they have a guide, like a guru or a helper or something, and she comes in and she's like, we're going to explain how interactions work and like how dates work and how you keep a conversation going and how you politely ask a person if they want to go on a date, how you are respectful of your date, how
Wow.
to know if you're talking too much about yourself. And I'm like, put the straights in this.
Yeah, like
Like, give this to, there are so
everybody
many
needs that.
people.
Everybody needs that.
There are so many people who are not neurodivergent or that seem that are not like I don't know how to
On the
say it in a
spectrum of
not
any of
terrible way.
other, yeah.
But right, so who could benefit from being like sometimes a woman is afraid to tell a man no, and so you have to look at her body language to see
Mhm.
that she doesn't want to do something.
Yeah.
So that's good. It's good.
Well,
And
yeah,
all the people are
everybody
very
needs that, yeah.
they're very, like, excited and nervous, and they're so pure and wonderful, and yeah, it's good.
Yeah. I don't like the ones that are just junk. I like when they have like a thing. Like Indian matchmaking was very good. It
I
had
did also love Love Island.
you do love it.
I
I never
don't
watched.
know why.
You know what? We all have our things that we
It's
can't
just
explain. We all have
it's
our
such trash.
yeah. 90 Day Fiancé
Um,
is like a whole like universe. Once you get into it, you can't get just realize you can't get out of it.
okay, it's like the Housewives franchises.
Kind of, yeah. Except I
Yeah,
got out of Housewives. You can get out of
I
House.
don't watch Housewives.
90 Day is like it's delicious candy. You just can't.
Speaking of delicious candy, another thing I wanna wreck, since I am the romance novel girl here on this channel, um, the Bridgerton series drops on Christmas Day on Netflix.
Oh wait, I've
That's
heard
what I'm doing Christmas. Yeah. So the Bridgerton novels are a series of romance novels by Julia Quinn, and they're basically they're modern. They're written by modern and historical. Um, I don't know who that is. I'll just let you talk about that. So they're historical romances, and they're epics. Like if you wanna watch it. And it's done by Shonda Rhimes.
Oh wow, I
So
didn't know she was doing that. Yeah, I've been seeing the ads for them, and I want to see that. There's so
yeah,
many things I want to see.
yeah, that should be really, really
And now
good.
that I'm not teaching, 7 plus classes, we
Right,
have
right.
time. I have 2 winter classes, but they're much easier.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, although right now I'm finally our friend Neil has been bugging me that I should watch Virgin River on Netflix, which is also based on romance novels. So I finally started it. And it's weird when you read it as a book, it's like, yes, this trope, here we go. And then it's when you watch it and it's actually happening and you're like, this is weird. Like, oh.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. Yeah. Highly recommend. If anyone ever wants romance novel recs, read more kissing books. They're very good.
You could put those on the Amazon list. It doesn't all have to be true crime. It could be true crime and smooching.
Smooching books. Yeah, absolutely. I'll put my favorite. I'll put all Sarah McLean's books on there. That's the best. Yeah,
Did
so
you
what
listen to My Dad Wrote a Porno?
I've heard of it.
My God, it is the funniest thing. If you like, it's not romance. It's like
It's a porno.
bad erotica,
Right.
badly written, very badly written. It is so funny. I have been in my car just crying with laughter. It's like it's so if they didn't have the show around it and you read it, you'd be appalled. But because
Yeah.
they have the show, so it's a guy, his dad writes it.
Right.
Dad has a pen named Rocky Flintstone, which
Of
is
course.
hilarious to me. And then his two friends, he reads it to his two friends and they comment. And it is honestly, and they're all British, and it's the
Oh
funniest
my
thing in the
god.
world. You will cry laughing because it's so bad. It's so bad.
I
It's an erotica that takes place in the pots and pans industry. That's all I'll say. And it's
okay.
so ridiculously
Okay.
badly written that it is honestly, and there's like 5 seasons of it, so you will not. I actually had a ticket to their live show
Oh,
in April that was canceled because of
of the pandemic. Yeah. Oh man. Okay, I'll get into that. I've read a lot of really cringe fanfic over the years.
this is like laugh out loud. It's his friends are so fun. The content is awful, but
Yeah.
the commentary is so funny.
All
I
right.
wonder if anyone's listened. Has anyone listened to it? Honestly, I could not recommend it more. Yeah, I know I shouldn't be like recommending other shows, but it's so, I
Yeah.
mean, you just need like a good laugh. Oh my God.
Yeah. So that's and have a happy holiday weekend, everyone.
Yeah, we'll see you
Because
on Friday,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
we're not gonna do a happy hour this week because it's Christmas.
Oh, do
Harrison
you
tried to
not
listen.
like it?
No,
So
I feel like it's not for everyone.
couldn't get
Couldn't
into
get into it. Yeah. No, not everything is for everyone.
it.
Yeah, so we'll be back on Tuesday, and that's gonna be me. So I
Yeah.
gotta pick something, but I got a whole week to procrastinate and not do it. It's gonna be a review of Bridgerton. Yeah. Um, yeah, so everyone have fun, be safe.
Mm-hmm.
Um, more than anything else. Enjoy your holidays and we will see you on Tuesday. Don't forget to grab merch. Don't forget to check out the Amazon store. I'll see about setting up a discount for subs and then I will email that to you. Yeah.
Yeah, have a wonderful holiday. Can't wait to see you next week. Enjoy yourselves and take good care of yourselves.
Yes. Yes. That's very good. And eat lots of Christmas cookies. Okay.
Bye.